Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Sorry about that, but the internet connection in the building actually collapsed. I think it's Robin, and
Yeah.
you've attracted so many servers.
Yeah.
That's so many people to our server. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Yeah,
It's a
they're
good.
and hacking. I'm all about botnets and viruses and
Well, there you go.
just play. I needed a little bit of break to finish my sandwich, so like I had to step in there. So
It worked out perfectly for
yeah,
you.
but we're back. We're back. I fixed it up. No, not really. Our guys here did.
After King f7, we were just about to explain to you why Rook takes e5 was not played.
Yeah.
What? Are we on or not?
Yeah, we're
Oh,
on.
he's standing.
Standing.
Oh, he's standing again. Sorry, new variation. Rook takes e5. You found a
Yes.
nice
So
resource suddenly.
we
Knight
actually
takes
thought
f6.
that we thought that Anish is in dire straits because he's losing the e-pawn.
Absolutely.
And then the king came to f7, and we thought, well, this is just not in time, right? I mean,
Right.
it should be on f6. So, like you were showing, rook takes e5, and then knight takes c6 is what we realized is Anish's point, right?
That after a check, we've got knight takes a5, and you just got rid of that huge c6 pawn.
And of
no-
course, but hold on a second. Rook takes e5,
Right.
knight takes c6,
Yes.
rook takes e8.
Oops, sorry. Rook takes e8 in this case, yes. New variation. Knight takes a.
Rook h8.
Yes. And assuming
King
I don't
F6.
want. Now.
Rook takes h7. Is that a draw?
Well, the problem, of course, is the promotion square of the.
Yes, that's a very important detail.
Yes.
So basically, black can give up the knight for
The
the
G-
G pawn whenever that's possible. So
Right.
and he still has an A pawn as well that he's going to push very quickly.
And I think Magnus was concerned about
Yeah.
this.
Yeah,
and
because
I think
this
with
looks
good
like a
reason.
forced line, but
Yes. Because he could have definitely gone for rook takes e5. The next question I have for you, Robin, is bishop takes h7?
knight to b3, I think.
In this
Yeah.
case, of course.
Yeah,
That,
now
yes.
rook takes e5, knight takes a5, and
Right.
it's a real exchange.
That is a real exchange. Good point.
Yeah, so this was I must say, this was very resourceful by Anish. I don't know to what extent he managed to calculate this, but
When you're playing f6 and e5.
yeah,
right?
well, and also knight f5, knight d4, which looked kind of, like it didn't really have much of a point, but now it's sort of, he managed to consolidate somewhat, still clearly worse, obviously, but Magnus has to really shuffle around now and create some new chances.
Exactly. And after the move h5, shuffling around some more with king h2. Not the cut and dried position that we thought. Still a lot of work here for Magnus as Anish found this very sharp and unexpected resource, knight c6. which
Yeah,
is-
yeah.
It never occurred to me that this pawn was vulnerable. So world champion grinding away with an edge, but not by any means decisive. And
It's
explaining this move, king g2, I can understand that Magnus may
Yeah,
sometime
especially
want to
after
be
rook
able to-
g4, for example. I think that would be a great move.
Yes. Oops. Sorry, that was a mouse slip, everybody. Bishop h3 will simply force the rook to move backwards.
Yeah.
Having said this, I think the drawing potential went way up.
It
If
did
you're
go
used
way
to
up.
seeing if you're used to seeing those evaluations of
Yeah.
computers, right? You kind of see it going up a bit here.
But I must say, Yasser, that King H2 to me it's a very good move because I'm looking at Anish because first of all I was trying to figure out what move does Black play.
Mhm.
Then I looked at Anish and I realized that I think he has the same problem, or I have the same problem as Anish does, which is Magnus somehow managed to position himself here where I don't know. I don't see a plan for Black to strengthen his defense.
Right.
But I don't even see a move that doesn't have a clear drawback for the
Right.
moment. I mean, maybe
It's
something
not
sort of like
Zugzwang.
Yeah.
It's just not a neat. Well,
Yeah.
find a move.
no, actually,
Find
like,
a good move.
I don't see the move because, like, if you say, okay, I'm gonna go back in the position we just looked at,
Yes.
it actually that doesn't work anymore because now bishop to h3 check to me looks very
Yeah.
annoying. But maybe no, king d6,
check.
king e7, and
And
then just rook
now
h6.
all of the pawns are ready to collapse.
Yeah, and of course, it's interesting also in one of the other games. We were looking at with Wei Yi and Luke what happens with rooks on, rooks off.
Mm-hmm.
Here, of course, some sort of GH versus A with rooks on is a total difference. But let's get to the position a little bit more because
Yeah.
I think we're both spotting knight f3
Knight
check.
check, yes. And that doesn't mean the line is finished quite yet,
No.
because after king you're going to snap a pawn and somehow keep your losses limited.
Yeah, and it looks like black has managed to escape here. So,
Remarkable.
but to be fair, that's just if black finds a way to do nothing.
Yes.
That's all the calculation that goes into it. So it shows the amount of potential that pretty much white has here, just with the idea of bishop g2, bishop h3. I imagine this is not something that appeals to Anish because he's on the verge of maybe a loss there. But what better move does he have?
And the other, yeah, exactly. The other thing I see as a problem for Anish is that when he's not watching, you could go bishop check, provoke the king to d6, drop back suddenly with the bishop, and then again,
Yep.
there's
Similar scenario.
Yes, exactly. Because they're not in time trouble, and I'm thinking that the Wesley So game was also a very challenging one. When we left it, we thought Wesley's in deep trouble.
Yep.
And he has played this move rook before after all of our other tries, by the way, didn't work for white. E4 for black, cutting off the fourth rank so the rook can't get back into the game was played. King g2, queen f7.
I'm surprised he survived this because this looks so bad at first. But
Yeah, first glance it was
Yeah.
pretty awful. Knight takes e4, queen takes d5, rook.
I just.
Whoa.
Hold on. It looks like Pavel thought that he's going to win an exchange here, but maybe missed knight f6 check.
This is like, it has echoes of the game of
Luke.
Luke.
Yeah.
And wow. Knight f6, knight d3 by
Yes,
Luke,
exactly.
knight f6.
And the
What
point
a-
being, of course, if g takes f6, queen g4 check somehow saves the day.
keeps everybody happy
Yeah, and even black has to be a bit careful.
because we're taking, and after something like this, we're, as you say, black is the one who's having to be careful suddenly. So knight f6 check, an easy move.
Yeah, because if you think about it, I'm fairly sure that Pavel, he went all the way queen f7 here, based on this line. Because otherwise, with the queen, we saw it's many times it's eyeing this h3 square. He would have maybe more seriously considered the move rook f8, which is also a very logical approach.
Exactly.
And the question is if now Wesley would have been able to get away with knight takes e4.
Yes. That is a very good question, because in
Takes.
previous lines we were looking at some opportunity of rook
Yeah.
d2.
Now
or-
he has the luck or the resource, so to speak, of rook f4 at his disposal, something that we didn't see before. But queen to b5 does look
Scary.
look very scary. It does look very scary.
Scary indeed, because, by the way, there's also
Yeah.
a
So rook to f4, let's imagine, and queen e2.
right. So we've got, well,
Maybe it's.
is it a checkmate? I'm
If
not sure.
Maybe
I'll
it's
take.
a take and queen e6.
Sorry.
Queen. If you wanna go king takes.
Oh, we do have a result.
Okay, so
A
let's.
result. Let's get to the game. In fact, the way it was played: King g2, Queen f7, Knight takes e4, Queen takes d5. Now, if you just look at this position, in your mind's eye, you're not expecting the knight on e4 to move anytime soon.
No,
right?
you really don't.
So you play a move like this, expecting, like
Yeah.
you say, to win an exchange. Thank you very much. A shocker.
Oops.
Knight f6 check. Rook takes f6. And Wesley So escaping into a double rook ending.
Which does indeed look very drawish, because even though white's up a pawn, his structure is quite scattered. So it looks to me like, yeah, Pavel here probably about to pick up the e pawn. Then Wesley can go ahead and attack the b pawn. It's still a target after all this time.
I know.
But the players clearly they saw that this is going towards a drawn
draw.
position, which, I mean, let's put it on the board. Yeah, so let's say rook takes e3, I guess.
Rook takes e3. Let's start there. Takes.
Rook to b4.
Yes.
And the question is, how exactly did they calculate this to a draw?
Exactly. Well, let's just propose. It's always nice to keep the guy's king stuck on the rank, right? We'll do something.
Yeah, c5 or maybe even king h7 at some point. Yeah, no, honestly, I think
and there's going to be
there's
a lot
many
of
ways.
hacking.
Yeah, because the thing is really that if white were somehow able to at least leverage that extra pawn and activate his king as a result or something, then maybe Wesley still saw some prospect in playing. But with this double h pawn, nobody really interested in that extra pawn. So most likely going towards a 2 against 1 in the best scenario, which is just a draw, right?
Just a draw.
So,
but Wesley, cat-like, he lands on his feet even when you think he's falling.
Yeah, well, it's interesting to know what the players think about alternatives to when that queen f7, queen takes d5 happened. That's really very very debatable moment in the game where surely Pavel could have at least.
This really looked dangerous.
Gotten more out of this initiative than a draw. I mean, that's our feeling. I think that Wesley cat-like you said, escaping again from what looked like it was about to become a very vicious attack.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right, let us take a look at. I mean, Sergei Karyakin versus Levon Aronian.
Yep.
Also,
something
we left it a long time ago.
I must say, Yasser, this is where we left off, and my comment was, why on earth hasn't he just taken on e4 when it would have still, made sure that there's no real blockade and white has to take back with the pawn.
Exactly.
And our conclusion was we didn't really know why not. I mean, it looked like a drawish position, and it looks like from here on it just went downhill quickly, and we see black is not black is going passive right now, you could call it, I think.
Yeah, well, in the Pacific Northwest we refer to it as seizing the defensive.
Yes. Well, that's a very positive way of
looking at it. Yes, seizing the defensive is what has happened to Levon, as everything went on the defense of the e5 pawn. c4, incrementally, slowly, drip by drip, move by move.
I like how Sergei is putting all his pawns on the squares of his opponent or the bishop.
Right.
It's one of those, classic. It's almost like if one of the sides is doing this, it's almost always like whoever gets to play that strategy is usually has a better position.
Mm-hmm.
So here we see, actually this is just going so bad for
also from the Pacific Northwest, a full body massage.
Yeah.
Like black is feeling it in the center, the king side, the queen side. He's getting, and having provoked the move c7, c6, by the way, is really paying huge dividends here. b6 is hanging, and Levon.
And Levon, actually, I can even tell just looking at him that this is going
badly wrong.
Yeah, and what a horrible construction with the queen and the bishop trapped in that corner.
Yes.
Sergei recapturing on e4 right now. I guess Levon, rook takes e4 is sort of his move.
Right.
And I think Sergei is just going to get out of this pin. King to g1 maybe.
I like the queen on b6, but in
wow.
a kind of a weird way. I don't like the queen on
Yeah.
b6, right? I kind of
You can maybe even capitalize on that.
going back to f2. This looks really well.
To
this
be
is so
honest,
long.
Jasper, I mean,
Gone.
let's imagine you try to stop that because it's a horrible threat.
Right.
Rook to e8. Now you probably want to place your queen on this diagonal, either f4 or g3.
Even I'm thinking.
I think queen to g3 is an immediate win, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, you're threatening the rook and the
knight
knight.
f7,
There's a
yeah.
discovery, so that
So-
just kills it.
Yeah, so over here, the rook, you're going to be able to do something about that, but then knight f7 picking up this queen.
Is
I mean,
over.
actually, isn't not just a game over after
Yes.
queen f2?
Yeah. That looks to be the case. Rook takes e4. By the way, is the last move played. We're looking at queen f2 and wow, collapse.
Yeah.
Levon definitely is regretting that he didn't play the move bishop takes
Yeah.
e4.
Let's also not forget that Sergey could have probably ended this game very early on, around move 11 or 12. wasn't it?
Yes.
But, you know...
One of the great double
faith-
blindness
Yeah, so
moments.
it seems to be in his faith to just...
right
to
here.
just win this game anyway. So.
Instinctively, I think we both felt it, that f6 was mistimed. Like,
Yeah.
what? Wait. You're not worried about the e5
Yeah.
pawn for the last dozen moves, and then suddenly you play f6 when the bishop, vis-a-vis the rook. Okay, natural move. However, the unnatural but tactically winning move would have been c4, and after knight b4, c5 with a double attack against the bishop on b6 as well as the bishop on e6. Black loses a piece. Thank you very much. Signing the score sheet. No compensation. There's no lines that we saw that would have even made it difficult, in fact.
Yeah.
Talking about signing score sheets.
We do have
have
a
another
result, and I'm not sure what game that.
Dragon or
We hadn't
Okay.
paid
That's a-
attention to that game,
we just
unfortunately.
this was the game that started with c2, c3, and I think while we in the opening thought that this is going to be a very slow Carlsbad structure around
Yes.
here, it turned out into a total mess, Jasper.
Did it really?
Yeah.
So, oops, excuse me. Shadoob. Let's go back. How did it turn out? Queen g4. Okay, g6. e4.
Yeah, trying to.
Okay, Dmitry, who has
Yeah.
been, super solid, playing all the quiet, safe, correct moves, suddenly decided it was in his interest to blow up the position. D takes e4. Looks a little mistimed to me, by the way. Normally, you want to blow up the position when your pieces are all out,
Yeah.
not when they're on the first rank.
And here, actually, Hari sort of showed some fighting intentions, going for knight e7 rather than queen e7, which will be a very solid move. Most likely also lead to, initially looks fairly equal, with knight takes d4 being a threat. White will develop his knight, maybe get rid of his isolated pawn at one point, but I doubt that there's much more in it for White than that. But knight e7 showed some fighting spirit,
Okay.
and that was
Met by
answered
h4.
enthusiastically, so to speak.
You have your spirit, I'll have
Yeah.
my attack. Knight d2, rook e8, queen f3, queen f6.
Now,
The fighting spirit was like, okay, wait a minute. The attack is serious. Very serious.
and still, it seems like the game here although Black's position looks a little scary, it still feels like it's around even.
Very hard to disrupt the balance.
Yeah, it's very hard to disrupt the balance here.
Okay, so after queen h4, just a second. Oops.
Oh.
Rook takes e3. F takes e3. Wow. It's nice to play e4 in the
Yeah.
game, but it's
That's a nice.
doubly nice to do it twice, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're an e4 player,
I
right?
like putting my pawn on e4 for sure. Yeah.
And if you can do it twice in the same game, you're patting yourself on the back.
But it really seems like both players, they tried their best to get this unbalanced. Even here, White sacrificing a pawn, but probably this D pawn,
Enough.
it compensated. I must say,
well played draw.
Yeah, well played draw probably. Somehow, as much as effort as the players put in, they never really seemed to be way beyond the equal sign.
Well, it's sort of like one of those things where, despite the best efforts of both players to create, there wasn't enough going on. Radic versus Baskarin, what have we got?
It looks
Wow.
like something went a little wrong for Adiban over here. Last time we left off in this position, we were talking about how this was a Nimzo-like position, but both sides had some extra options, and you left off asking me what I thought about this position after A5.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I said I don't like. We never really got into it, but I suggested G3 here, which is what he played, and mostly
you were saying that. Well, sorry, let me turn that off. You were saying that if White gets in G3 in a nice way, then you really liked White's position.
Yeah, and I
a lot.
actually thought that it was available immediately as well. And what it was based on is, of course, Black's natural, desire is to go here and play Queen G5,
right.
provoke me to play G4, then play Knight F4. Everything looks great.
Good.
But I already thought, when looking at the position, that F4 here
was
simply, it wins the knight, obviously. And after something like Queen takes G3, there might be some funny stuff, but I assumed that it was nothing too serious because it's immediately threatening to exchange the queens.
Right.
I think Adiban must have invested some time into this option, decided against it, because I can't really see what else would be, scaring him away from this. And then when he decided not to take it, this is exactly the scenario that I pictured to be quite
Bad.
horrible. And I'm surprised Radic didn't go H4. He actually thought, now my king's just safe. And actually, no, he didn't. He castled later. I have to take that back. He simply played Queen C2. H4 is not really, it's still possible in the next move. That's probably his,
right. It's not running away, kind of.
Yeah, and then C6. Yeah, we talked about that too. Not being a very nice move for Black to play.
Well, here it's one of those scenarios that Black is in danger of being worse on the king side, worse on the queen side, and worse in the center. I mean, the trifecta.
Yeah, and
not
it's
a
not,
trifecta
it's not,
that you
it's
want.
not just the bishop pair, which is this long-term asset. It's really all over that.
Structural, spatial.
Yeah, it's
it's
a bad position on all accounts, so to speak.
Right. So now comes this tactical shot, C5. Clearly, Black's rook on A2 is perfectly positioned. A very tactically aware player, Adiban. I mean, it's remarkable that he would fall for B5 C5 because this is looking like Kaputski. Ooh.
It does get very sharp. Maybe he thought that he could allow this.
Threats going everywhere, all over the board here.
Of course, it should be noted that with the knight on d4, White is really a bit tied down for the moment because he can move the bishop. The pawn on f3 falls over here, and of course he would love to take that knight, but that one's pinned as well. So it could be that Adiban saw some potential here, but that it simply was White who managed, or Radic who managed to consolidate his position. That's the impression I'm getting.
All right.
Yeah, and now.
Wow,
this was quite a slugfest.
No questions about it.
Knight d1, knight c3, being the
Queen
idea.
takes d6.
Complicated. Well, this was a highly complex game. I think
tactics galore.
The
everywhere.
moment it became truly clear what was going on is exactly where we tuned in here. At least that's what I think. You never know with Adiban, but it seems that White is up a safe amount, of material, just a pawn up, and having this beautiful pawn on c6, and I don't see the tactics disrupting anything too badly here. If I play, let's say, queen to e5.
Queen to e5. I must say that that the long diagonal makes a very pleasing impression. Yes. Just eyeballing that she's at, your queen's not really going anywhere anytime soon. The pawn count also not just an extra pawn, but a very, very good extra pawn
Yeah.
indeed.
And a very unpleasant, not only that, white has this very easy plan of, hey, let's maybe improve my knight and pick up this one as well, right? So,
Right, and by the way, then g6.
Yes, g6
Check.
and knight g5 also in the air, so
Knight c7
it looks
is a
like
defender.
Adivan is closing off this position on move 40 being lost,
Yes,
to put it
bluntly.
in simple words.
Yes, everybody will understand them. Ian, we haven't seen the game between Ian and Richard. Both these players, I enjoy playing over their games, and let's just see what they created, because two very strong grandmasters, creative players, and what did they do? Gioco piano, but the two knights defense,
Yeah, and this
allowing knight g5. Virtually everybody and his brother has not been allowing white this opportunity. They all play bishop c5 on move 3.
Yeah, but then again, Richard is the type of player who, first of all, he's very happy to go into these type of positions. Secondly, and now I'm about to exaggerate, he's also one of the few players who I could see developing the bishop
Right.
a move later and going for something crazy like a Truxler gambit or
Yes,
whatnot.
exactly. Yeah.
But Richie is definitely the player who's like, oh, knight g5, that's great.
Yeah.
I'd love to play that at both sides. So, but d3, Nepo was happy
Okay.
to keep it calm, and this is actually what Richard played against Dimitri Andreikin in their very long game in Rotterdam.
Mhm.
And Dimitri followed up with also, I think, an early knight c3, got a slightly better position, and Richie was truly suffering that entire game. So this is really, I think they have been following the game all the way to here.
Mhm.
And here it was Richard's turn to improve over previously played queen to d7.
And he did that with the deep thoughts. A5.
Which is truly a very weird move to me. So.
I'm glad I'm on that page with you. A5. If you gave me this position as black and said, give me 3 suggestible moves, candidate moves, I would toss out bishop d5. I would toss out knight on f6 to d7.
Yeah, I also thought
would
that. Yeah.
toss out queen d7. A5,
No.
not on my list.
I think the idea was that in the game, at some point, the Andreikin expanded with b4, but it is a strange idea. It immediately creates a big imbalance, though. Here, Nepo going for knight g5, that's kind of a commitment, too.
And
it's
the follow-up with f4, too.
All a little strange to me. The one thing I like White's positions here generally, but I'm always a bit worried. Yeah, I like the 2 bishops, but I'm always a bit worried about this light squared bishop being out of the game for longer than I can afford because of this pawn on d5.
Mm-hmm.
But this looks like very active chess on Nepo's part.
Okay, knight d7, bishop a2, a4. Again, if you gave me this position, and you see we do have a result.
And it looks like Wei he actually
He
managed
has won.
to. Yeah.
Yes.
Has won the game, and poor
Poor Luke.
Luke's tournament is definitely turned sour. After saving a difficult rook ending yesterday, maybe he had a little wind in his sails and he was feeling it. And today, it looked awful. Like this looked like my return to chess, not being up to date on the latest and greatest in theory and getting smacked for not doing my work.
Mm-hmm.
That just looks like a failure of being up to date on this really sharp stuff.
Yeah,
you're gonna play the poison pawn. Guess what? Pardon me. You're gonna play the Najdorf. You better know.
You have to know your stuff, and especially these. To be fair, Yasser,
Yes.
I really don't want to discredit Luke over and over again because I've been harsh on him, and I support Luke a lot, and I hope that he does great. But this was one of the lines. I've been playing an Najdorf myself for a long time. It really wasn't the latest fashion. This was stuff that, and maybe that's the reason why he couldn't remember exactly what was happening, but. I think we were referencing some games from 2013, 2014.
Mhm.
Well, guess what? It's 2017 right now. Like,
Right.
This is an old try for White.
Right.
And something that was already more or less figured out by some black players. So,
Mhm.
Luke not knowing this, that leaves a very sour aftertaste. And,
Exactly.
I hope that, something like that can really be prevented in the next games.
Yeah, I never minded losing, especially if I lost a good game. My opponent played really well. What really infuriated me was losing literally out of the opening.
Yeah.
Then that was shame on me, right?
Yeah.
Because that meant I wasn't working hard enough on my openings, and this was one of those losses that I hate.
Yeah.
Back to our Ian versus Richie. You like Richie?
I say Richie.
Okay.
I like Richie.
Okay, you like Richie. A4, King H1, C6. Well, now I like Ian. I like the
His
two
position,
bishops. And you were mentioning that you have the inner fear that this bishop on A2, once that pawn is on D5, remains passive
Yeah.
longer than you can afford. Well, guess what?
Well, what Richard wants to do here is get d5 in and try to shut down the bishop in that way. And of course, he hopes that in a very long run, this pawn on a4, kind of like we saw in Wesley So's game with the pawn on a5,
Will
neutralize this pawn structure, maybe even create a weakness on b2. But at first sight, it doesn't look like a very nice position at all for black.
Agreed. D4, C3. By the way, just in case you do, black does decide to shut down the bishop.
Which was
it sneaks out the other
Yeah,
way.
it's not the other way, and then you got to worry about bishop c2 in the future too, because that pawn could become a target as well. So actually, a very complicated game, but it looks like Nepo was very.
He had the
He
control.
had a good position for a while, yeah. And here
Whoa.
something strange happens. I don't think it was ever planned to give up a bishop like that and allow the e4 square.
No way, Jose. I mean, if I'm white in this position, I'm nursing the bishop on b1. I'm not planning to walk into a fork that
I think
costs
he
me.
must have thought bishop takes g6 is annoying, but
On the
realized that
contrary.
on the contrary, black is very happy to open up the f file, which might give him more of an initiative than anything.
The dynamic features in the position overcome the pawn structure deficit of the double pawns. This looked like error of judgment.
Yep, error of judgment here by Jan.
Yes. And now, I mean, everything just suddenly, wow.
Yeah.
The pawn on a4 is absolutely brilliant. Thank
Great
you
pawn.
very much.
Great pawn. Black, at least a little bit better here, if not clearly better, with knight b6, knight c4 and such. Also coming in.
The only bad news from black's point of view is the bishop on f4 does control the b8 square. But having said that, white's majority looks much more of a target than anything. Rook e4.
It's
I would have been
peculiar choice.
so anxious
Knight b6, knight c4, it feels
to
like...
settle in on the c4 square.
I think Richard must have thought that, he's going to go bishop to c1 and then get the knight to d3. So, for example, knight b6, knight f2.
Exactly.
And he must have thought that somehow, that suffices as a defensive setup.
Well, definitely, it's a defensive setup.
Yeah.
You always think to yourself, well, first let's get my opponent defensively set up, and then let's see if I can't squeeze something further.
Still looks pleasant for black.
Absolutely. Okay, let's run it along. Rook e4. A very drastic change of the pawn structure, to be sure.
Yeah,
And
pity for Richard. I'm sure he must have loved to follow up with f5, but white has g4 resources there, which this turned on into something very strange, to be honest. Like this went a little bit out of control, and it
definitely black didn't get all that he should have.
Yeah,
Let's put it that way. Yeah.
And
Ooh.
yeah, now I think a few more moves have been made.
Okay.
Actually.
Yes.
Yeah. So
After After
B4.
B4 was the last
He
move.
didn't want to
Rook,
allow his A pawn, which is sensible.
and we're up to date with the players. Ian has, in my view, escaped the worst.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been seriously unpleasant for the longest of time. Now I've got a feeling that
I feel like this becoming more drawish by the move.
exactly. Whoa, a narrow escape indeed.
Yeah.
Richie, he's just been on the unlucky side. Every time it's a heads or tails flip, he's getting the the call
sure.
against him. Wesley So that just. But again, this game of Wee yesterday just kind of rock my world.
The weird thing there is that Richie just had a lot of time that he
sped up.
Yeah, he sped up too much.
Knight C7, Bishop B7 came back to back.
But also in the game against Wesley So, he had more than enough time to figure out how to do it, and he just went and played too quickly. It seems to be very hard for him to stop because he outplays, or he plays these amazing games, and he does it very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
He hardly thinks in some positions, which to most people are incredibly complicated. But then, when he's almost at the point that he's already realizing his advantage and converting it to a win, so far, and I wouldn't say against Wei he was quite the same, but against Wesley it certainly was the case. He just keeps, in that mode of hey, let's put pressure on him by playing quick, and he becomes very sloppy as a result. Mm-hmm. And against Wei Yi actually had a fairly big advantage, the computers later point out, and it also didn't feel bad for White.
No.
But again, he went for something that appealed visually but just didn't work. And for someone of Richie's caliber, that was just very unnecessary because he's a great calculator, and he could have easily foreseen, that the king could have escaped into the center, walk away, because that's really the type of chess that Richie is very good at.
Exactly.
So things have not been going his way at all. And it really boils down to the same mistake to me.
If it's a question of learning the art of patience, because in chess you have to be patient at times, the good news is he's very young, and the lessons that he's learning here will do him in good stead. But it really does feel, unfortunately, that he's on the back foot at the times, and being very unlucky in this tournament. He's just taken on b5 after c6 takes b5, c4 takes b5.
Takes.
Like you say, and I'm with you, White is happy to have emerged into this position.
Yeah,
he wants to play bishop a5.
Yeah, one way I could
further.
see, for example, a draw happening very quickly if Richie doesn't really feel like trying at all. Let's say this position over here looks logical.
Right.
And imagine king to f5.
Yes.
White exchanges on b6. It looks a little scary to go for this, with White. Although it probably should be a draw, but at least it looks like Black will lose his bishop with the knight coming to c6. If Black really wants to draw this, and he can simply go bishop takes d2, I think. And I would be surprised if White can find a way of preventing him to take the b pawn with the bishop.
Exactly.
So, for example, bishop to c7, bishop e3, b6, and of course, this would be an immediate draw.
Right, because once the Black king gets to a8, you scoop up all of Black's pawns. It's the wrong bishop, and like you said, draw. All right, let's go to first of all, let's take a look at the results that we do have so far. We have a victory for Wee Yi against Luc Van Velde. Let's take a look at that game. By the way, we left it in the bishops of opposite color, but it was two pawns. It was right back here.
Yeah, and we said that with only the bishops on, there's chances to hold it, but with rooks on, well, actually, Wei Yi even proved that just with h pawns. And now again the same thing features. Is it the right or the wrong color, right? And this time it's the right color.
Exactly. The h pawn is promoting thanks to the dark squared bishop, and there's simply just no way to stop these pawns.
Yeah, and Luke resigned this.
Wow. Well, this brings the Chinese superstar teenager up to +2.
Is it +2 or I think it's
so.
plus? Has he won 3 games? Because he's lost to Magnus Carlsen, He's beaten Richard Report. Yeah, he's beaten Richard Report. He's beaten Jan Nepomniachtchi, and
he
now
won
beating
today.
so
That's
plus
the
two. That's a very strong performance because I believe it was last year as well that he played, and he had a difficult tournament.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken, or at least the last time I remember him playing, it was
And
was not easy.
Levon somehow escaped what we thought was dreadful position. Queen F2, by the way, was Levon's choice, and after Queen F2 came Eric. You going to come back and join us?
Yeah.
You want me to join you?
Yeah.
Sure. We have Grandmaster Eric Hansen in studio, and just a second, you want to interview Eric?
No, you go
You're
ahead.
the chess bro.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
you're the two duo. I mean, by the way, I say that tongue in cheek, but truly, Eric and Robin were the founders
Yeah.
of Chess
that's
Bra.
fair.
I mean, I've got to bring the founders on stage here. Grandmaster Eric Hansen, everybody. I'll take a break.
You know,
I'm just playing some.
That is my favorite Tata Steel chess moment.
Oh, really?
Maybe when tournament is over and if I play good.
Many very nice restaurants here in like.
Maybe from fish restaurant, which is closed already, unfortunately. But okay, in fact, there are a lot of moments because atmosphere like is fantastic. Chess atmosphere that I like very much and appreciate.
When I won the Tata Steel Challengers, that was my favorite moment since I qualified to the Tata Steel Masters.
A dive in the North Sea, just to celebrate it's over. But yeah, that's basically my finest moment.
10 seconds. How much? Guys,
Hi everyone, I'm joined by Grandmaster Eric Hansen, very good friend of mine, and I think you've been on the show before, so
Yep.
familiar face. We're gonna go and actually continue where Yasser left off, but first of all, how was your game today? What was the result?
I drew against Ting Ji, I think. She's the top-rated girl in the world, apparently. And she played very well today. I was black, tried to put some pressure on, played a bit of a dubious opening setup.
Mm-hmm.
But it was very complicated. All the pieces were on the board, and I somehow seemed to start to make progress. I might not have been ever better, but I don't know. She defended very well in time trouble. I ended up sacrificing a pawn
Mm-hmm.
for two bishops, kind of a Grunfeld sort of. Well, it was a Grunfeld, and I'm just surprised how well she played in with a minute on the clock.
Yeah.
She found some
I
critical
believe
moves.
she recently became a grandmaster. Is
Yeah.
that correct? So
Yeah.
she's definitely a talent to watch. Well, we're gonna have a look at your game as well. We were just curious what was going on. I don't know how much you've seen of the other games so far.
I really liked how Karyakin was playing, starting
Yeah.
with Queen C4
So,
check.
so really, what was going on here is when Yasser and I left off, we looked at this position. We're like, okay, like 5-6 more moves maybe, and it looks like done, right? But
Looks a bit like my game against Shanklin with a dominating knight against the bishop
Right.
and the two rooks.
yeah, from the Olympiad,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So Queen F2 is what we thought, and one detail was that if you go Rook E8, which looks like one of the few defensive moves, then after Queen G3, it's pretty much immediately over with both Knight F7 and Knight takes E8 threatening. Levon found a better defense with King G8, but it just seems surprising that Karyakin couldn't find an immediate breakthrough here. He went for the move Queen G3, then Rook to E7. Of course, something like Rook to F1 also looks tempting. Renewing.
So if we play, what's wrong with like Queen G3 D6 doubling on the F file and just trying to give checkmate?
Queen G3, Rook E7.
Yeah, Rook F3 or Rook F1.
Yeah, so let's say Rook F3. He played C5 over here, but let's say Rook F3.
Yeah, and C5 similar idea. And I just want to play C5 double rooks and play either Rook F7 or Rook F8.
Yeah, honestly, it looks like an.
But actually,
absolutely-
C5 is fine as a
Yeah,
first move.
C5 is fine. I think he
Sim-
simply he missed something here. This must have been the moment because Knight F5 you only play if you think it's an immediate
Knight F5
win.
is surprising.
Yeah, well, he must have missed something here because, okay, first of all, if you take on D1, that simply is immediately over because the bishop on C8 is hanging at the end. So he thought probably rook to f7, knight takes h6 is just an easy win. Actually, I guess he just calculated he's up 2 pawns, and he thinks it's an easy win. We were just surprised because we thought not even any technique will be necessary anymore. But maybe I'm over criticizing here because the b7 pawn is also about to be lost. I think actually he does seem to have it under control.
Yeah, it might be a matter of style, but I think White can probably force through a checkmate if he wanted to in the game.
Yeah.
But this should be working.
Yeah. So how are we going to do this? Is b5? Is that an idea maybe?
You mean b5 and b6?
Yeah, b5. If you take on a4, then this looks lost to me because the b7 pawn is
totally lost.
Yeah. So something like b5, c takes b5, you almost have to go for it, I think, or rook to d5.
Rook to
d5, knight takes
takes.
b7. Yeah. So a c takes b5 here, and
A takes.
a takes. Yeah.
B6?
This c6, b6, I guess. C6 I cannot do yet.
Maybe we were a little inaccurate there, huh?
Yeah, this is not the most. And how about knight takes b7? I don't really want to play. So actually Karyakin is thinking over here. He played a5, so he wasn't too happy about b5. Okay, but then b7 will be taken on the next move. The question is, what if? I guess Levon is forced to attack b4. Is it going to be rook d4 or if rook to b1, rook to c3? This seems like it's over because rook to c4 will just be defending the whole bunch of pawns, and rook to d4, similar idea, I guess. And rook to c4. Yeah, probably this game is going to end.
I think it's over.
Going to end soon. So let's switch to actually one of the top games today that's still going, which is Anish, who was really struggling to defend against Carlsen. We left off, I believe it was just around, actually this was a very nice moment where we thought he's losing the e-pawn, and it turns out that after rook takes e5, knight takes c6, rook takes e8, knight takes a5, rook h8, you think that white's winning because he's picking up the last pawn, but it gets a little tricky. You can't take on h7 because of king g7, and if you take with the rook, then probably Magnus thought this isn't winning, because if black somehow manages to get this g-pawn and leave white with an h-pawn, we again have this idea of the wrong color bishop with a h or a-pawn, this time an h-pawn, which will be a draw. So he decided not to go for this, which allowed Anish a little bit of time to consolidate and go for the defense of e5. And here a few moves have been played. Last time we checked, they were at this point. Very hard to make a move here for black. He actually played a6. Curious what his idea would have been if you simply take on a6. But Magnus won bishop d5 check. Also makes sense. And we have another result in the meantime. Is it white who won in this game? Missing that's correct?
A draw, it seems.
A draw? Okay, because I've seen it is a draw, which we sort of expected last time we checked in with Richard against Nepomniachtchi. Probably another mischance by Richard, although it wasn't a huge advantage. It did seem to be very pleasant for him, so he'll be a little bit disappointed with that. In this position, Magnus took on a6, king d6, bishop g2, so now up a full pawn. Rook to e7, rook a5, knight takes c6. Seems to be petering out a little bit here. I think around this moment, once the c-pawn is gone, either white needs something very concrete, or the position might not be as bad anymore for black. This is the current position, and we have a few new moves. Rook to f5, rook to d5 check, and rook f5. Okay, talking before really considering the position again, because of course if white manages to get the h-pawn, suddenly has great winning chances again. And it's Anish to move here. Yeah, as you could see, Eric, I don't know if you followed the game, but it was really Magnus in his element there, sort of typical position that he loves to play. And he's been putting pressure on Anish the whole day. And now that he lost his c-pawn, he must have calculated this out to a point where he really thinks he's going to win the h-pawn without any major counterplay. First question comes to mind is if e4.
Rook h5, e3, rook h7.
Yes.
I don't know where to put the king.
It's a very concrete line. Let's have a look. You take the pawn, and here, question is, he probably wants to go rook h7 immediately. And yeah, where to put the king. Of course, black is losing a rook, but he hopes that with the e-pawn he can get the material back or even get a full queen. So if we go for king f6, you want to play rook h6, correct?
Yeah, the nice thing is white's not running any risk because they can always take on c7 and then take on c6.
Yeah.
And have a rook, bishop, and 2 pawns against queen in games, which actually only white could push.
Only white could push, although I don't think that's his idea.
That's not his idea, but there's no risk to allow the pawn, no losing chances.
Well, first, like we said, the logical reply seems to lose immediately. Anywhere really you go with the king, you're now losing this pawn. And this should be fairly easy win.
Yeah.
And
king f8.
King f8 is a better try as a result. But now I have rook to f5 check, so that also doesn't seem... I mean, I could even take first, let's say e2, rook f5 check, king goes anywhere, and rook to f1 at least, right?
Yeah.
But there's also maybe bishop d5.
Bishop
and rook
d5
takes
is
c6.
nice, and rook c6 and march the king.
Right. But already this is a win, obviously. So if e4 doesn't work, I mean, you don't really have proper... I mean, what else are you going to do?
Well, a funny move is rook h6 to play king e6, but I think Magnus will just play like rook g5 after rook h6, or I'm not sure, any sort of waiting move. The problem is the pawns are... This position is getting stretched out. I'm not sure, maybe rook c5 and rook g5, but this is... If
Yeah, I like your move rook to g5 over here. Yeah, it looks like a strong move.
Starting to run out of
starting
moves.
Yeah, again, Anish is suffering.
But if you're going to lose a pawn, which one do you want to lose?
The e-pawn, preferably.
Can you ever lose the h... Like, for example, rook h7? This is what I was looking at. Rook c5?
Bishop to e4, I don't mind.
Okay, bishop e4 as well. Yeah, no,
yeah. This also looks very annoying. Rook to g7, obviously, another threat after rook g5 is the threat after rook g5.
Yeah, no, black's not going to get any trades. I think if white wins a pawn, it's going to be pretty clean. So, I don't know, it looks pretty bad. I don't see what the fortress is or the setup.
Yeah. Now, it does look very difficult now for Anish, who's still thinking. I think they reached... Yeah, they both...
Yeah, rook g5 makes sense, because in some positions you'll have a bishop on e4, maybe rook on g6, rook on c5. It's all coordinated. The bishop holds everything.
This is a
bishop
nice
e4 and rook g6 is a...
Yeah.
The rook...
This sometimes.
Yeah, it's almost zugzwang, because if the rook gets to g6, it's also... should be lost. Because the king can't move anywhere, almost.
Can I just try to at least change this rook, or I also don't have time for that?
So, rook c5, and now I think you lose 2 pawns.
Yeah, because if I go rook d6, you trade everything. Yeah. And again, it's not a difficult line for white. Yeah, no, it seems, honestly, I was wrong. Magnus calculated this quite nicely. It was a very interesting decision, by the way, if Anish to put the pawn on h5. Of course, I'm talking really in hindsight, but if you look at this position over here, h6 feels like maybe it's more natural. He probably had more concrete reasons to go for h5, but right now it seems that Magnus did find a way to show that putting the pawn on the same color as the bishop does have a serious drawback in the long run. So this is the position currently, and yeah, Anish is still thinking. Well, while he's thinking, would you like to briefly take us through your game?
Yeah, we can maybe go through it pretty quickly. Just all
right,
a couple moments.
Your group, everyone has finished their games already, so
tons of decisive results every day. It's this
is
tough crowd.
No, there's still 2 games going.
Okay.
Oh, and it looks like Sergei Karyakin has won his game against Levon Aronian. Let's quickly go there to round up that game. So here we left off after a5. Indeed, rook b1 followed, rook c3, set was played. Yeah, and he tried to get some sort of attack against Sergey, or Levon tried to get some sort of attack against the king, but simply after h4, creating some space for the king on h3. This pawn is going to
it's
promote.
nice if you go back a couple moves after a6. Rook a1, knight a5, right?
Yeah, a nice way of blocking.
Yeah,
that looked like a very smooth win. I know most of the people on the stream have seen it already, but something very peculiar happened in this game. If you haven't already seen it, there was this moment very early on where Sergey could have actually won a full piece, and we're talking move 11 here. Knight goes anywhere. Let's call it b4, c5, and both players somehow missed this. Sergey still managed to win, but this was really one of the highlights of the day, that one of the games could have been decided so early on. All right.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a very strange. Okay, there's still 2 games going in your group. This is your position. Well, let's have a brief look, Eric. So first of all, how are you doing in your group right now?
I had 3.5 out of 6, so I'm still +1.
+1.
I've played an extra black right now, so I mean the result's okay, but in the challengers you got a lot of people winning a lot, so
yeah, you need a very big score to win that group.
Try to take chances today.
Yeah.
Some Grunfeld, I didn't know what to expect. She doesn't play this line, so I didn't look at it at all. And I think already, some Fianchetto Grunfeld, not the c6 d5 symmetrical setup, because said I wanted an imbalance, but I think now I already transition into just a bit of a worse endgame, which isn't very pretty. So c6 pawn is just the main factor, but okay, I have a few squares. It was a bit messy. I have a bunch of counterplay due to this knight on d1 that'll take a few moves to get into the game to consolidate, and I have ideas of knight f4, bishop h6 that are annoying. I think the best I can hope for is some endgame equality. I don't really have structurally. It's just awful if a knight can land to c5, like knight b3, knight c5.
Yeah,
but it didn't quite happen. Bishop d2. So this is where it gets interesting. She could have liquidated to, I think, an endgame that would have been sort of drawn. e6. I was going to take, and I was going to make this move instead of going for a worse endgame, which is happening a lot here. My pawns are not so good.
Yeah.
But even though white has the 2 bishops, first bishop h6, trade everything off. This position I wasn't too concerned about. I'm going to play e6. The knight here has to move somewhere. I have the d file. I don't think there's anything serious for white here at all.
Maybe you can still knight b4, knight d3. You can be
yeah. So maybe here a3, and the problem is I can't necessarily move where I want to, but I don't think black has huge issues here. So that would be my best position of the game, but she was ambitious. Makes sense. Everyone wants to win here. Bishop d2, c5. Again, here I thought I wanted to test my luck. I think knight b4 leads to liquidation because of this variation. Knight d3.
Seems like both of you sort of were looking for a more tense game, because she kind of didn't liquidate before. Now you're trying to keep more tension, so that's a nice thing.
So I saw this position and I didn't think there's anything serious for me here. Although this is a bit...
It looks a little dodgy at first, but...
I think the problem I had was I didn't know where to move. I don't want to play knight c4. I mean, it's okay. I think I looked one move further, rook e2, and I... Oh, is there bishop g4 here? Yeah, there is bishop g4, yeah. Oh, that's a bit annoying.
Rook e1, is that a...
Bishop g4 still?
Knight e3 maybe, yeah.
There might be... Okay. maybe something a bit more precise. This might be a bit unclear. What I had was also kind of double-edged knight a5, bishop e6, bishop f1. Actually, I blundered a pawn here. Not fully blundered, but I didn't see bishop f1.
Mm-hmm.
I was willing to sacrifice a pawn on a lot of lines. The point is, I'd really like to get rook c5 in, but the problem is b4 first, rook back, and I think white can just pick up the pawn on c4. Because otherwise I'm threatening c3 and I'm threatening a double, and I don't think you can win the c4 pawn on e5. It's also weak. Bishop e6. Like, I'm curious if I missed something here, because we were in time trouble. I think neither of us knew the opening very well. Bishop e6, bishop f1, and now a couple interesting lines. I played rook d8 because I realized that I think that pawn is gone. And
you saw some compensation, I guess, right?
I saw compensation. Yeah. Well, this is what I saw. She took on c4, knight takes, bishop takes. I was planning rook c4, rook c4, knight b6,
and bishop f5.
And bishop f5.
Winning material, actually.
Yeah. But she saw everything too, so she played rook takes, and then I immediately played knight c7. But I didn't calculate this. I just felt that there was something.
And she has rook takes c7.
She has rook takes c7. I realized that right away. I was going to take. I didn't do this. Bishop a5. Bishop takes e5. Rook takes d1. You can't take on c7 because of bishop h3 mate.
But you can take
after
on
this
e6.
move. I wanted to play double rooks, but this endgame is
this looks
very, very
better for white almost.
Yeah, better.
Right?
I think it's probably better for white.
With the bishop on c3.
Play
and
a3, rook a7. Yeah, this is.
Okay, so this was there was a lot of calculation.
A lot of calculation.
Yeah.
So instead, I took.
After rook takes c7. Right?
I took here. You have to trade rooks here because rook c1 is coming. So take, and now this position I'm down on pawn, but I have an idea. Bishop e6 right away, and if I win the pawn back, I'll be doing well. I thought she played really well here, but maybe I missed something. We're both under 10 minutes.
Initially, it feels like, if anyone's better, it's maybe black because it's so hard to get rid of the rook on d2.
So she played a3. Yeah. Bishop h6. I wasn't sure. Her idea is maybe to play b4.
Okay.
And now knight e3 was a great move. So we got some position like this where I win the pawn back, but she's achieved a good structure.
Yeah.
And I could have done this move, but didn't know how to assess this. Looked like there's like
some mate threats, right? Knight f6, rook goes.
Just keep the rook on the back rank.
Yeah, it looks very scary.
Okay. So she played a really good move, rook c3, because otherwise I will play king g7, h5, and e6. And then I blundered e6. Okay, we were just under.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
okay.
10 moves. Great move.
Yeah.
Bishop c4, check. King f7. I don't think I should go passive. Bishop b7, rook d3. Knight e5. I think all my moves are forced, unfortunately.
And here you look.
And now rook f3 is a threat.
Yeah.
I don't have it.
Okay. Seems like maybe there were some chances, but she did play very well.
Nothing serious. Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing that I'm upset about, because it was a complicated game. I tried, but she played well.
Yeah.
I took a worse position.
Yeah, you did. You did a lot to create some chances. She also for a long time tried to keep the tension, so it was an interesting game.
It was a hard fought game. The only problem is everyone seems to be winning who I need to catch. So
the challengers group is really. I mean, having played there myself, it's very difficult to win because having a good tournament's not enough. Most of the time, the winners get like +6, +7 type of scores. So I don't know if it's going to be like that this year, but Eric is still playing catch up with some of the leaders.
Well, I think I'm gonna give my seat back up to Yasser. I need to get a bit of rest because tonight gonna be meeting some of the fans, some of the chess fans.
Where's it?
Where's the party?
It's going to be at Hedvapa. Yeah. So for anyone,
stream on Twitch or not?
No.
We're not sure. So Eric and I, for those who don't know, we're running this channel called Chessbra tonight. If you're around Wijk aan Zee, go to Hedvapa. I guess around 10 would be a good time, and you can meet with Eric and I.
And Yasser.
And Yasser, of course. And Leonard. And everyone who's here. So...
yes. Perfect timing.
And
Congratulations.
I think Yasser is now going to talk to Sergei Karyakin, who's joining us in the studio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our live coverage of the 2017 Tata Steel Chess Tournament. I'm here with Sergei Karyakin. Sergei, welcome and congratulations.
Thank you.
Nice win. Before we pick up on your game, check out this game of Magnus Carlsen, Anish Giri. The last few moves, Anish basically dropped his rook for a reason, but he forgot there's a tactic in the position. The tactic he's missed is bishop f3, queen, bishop h5 check, very embarrassing. King has to go, rook to f5 check, king has to go, rook c8 check. And he has played it, and he will defeat Anish Giri in a very unpleasant way. Now, onto your game. And of course, everybody who was following your game was, Sergei has missed something, but at the case of double blindness, I'm sure, Sergei, take it. I'll set up the starting position, please. You're in the control, and this is the cursor that you just need to. Everything's normal.
Okay. D5 is not the main move, but I knew it's very critical.
But also with Levon, his favorite move after e5 on move 1 is to then play d5. So you can feel that he's going in these directions, yeah?
Yeah, but here it's just incredible moment, of course. Somehow I thought that the position is like, okay, if he plays now queen d7, he has to think about knight e5 or knight g5. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's not that good. He should have played queen d7 anyway. But the point is that I thought after f6 the bishop hangs, and okay, d4 is critical. So
of course.
It's so natural, but
of course. And in fact, it is not shame on you. It's shame on us too, because we also, after you've played c3. Oh, well, c3 is such a good move. Who thinks to play c4 on the next move after c3? So d4, obviously, is to try to punish him for f6.
Yeah, okay, I wouldn't say it's try to punish, but it's very natural, and exactly. I didn't basically consider any other move. And here I was considering c4, but now c4 knight is 7, and it's nothing. So I have to take, and here unfortunately I'm not time with my knight to bring my knight, because now there are some tricks like knight takes c3 or some other moves.
Rook f8 is bishop f2, and you're suffering.
So bishop d5, and we got this position, which is, I think, should be about equal.
Exactly.
And here, but basically, I think that there were some very critical moments in this game. At this moment, of course, he had to take on e4.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's very natural. I was so surprised that he didn't take, and it should be a draw.
Yes.
A4, of course, it has to be a draw. And after he played king h8, now after rook e2, I think that his position is unpleasant already.
Exactly. You're ready to, first you blockade the pawn, now you're ready to simply win the pawn. Knight f2, knight g4 is on your agenda, other things as well. So very unpleasant now for him.
Yeah, but of course he had to stay somehow with the queen on g6, because after he bring his queen to a5, it was very bad for him, because the queen doesn't do anything, and now after c4, I think it's objectively very bad for him. Here, of course, he had to take on e4, and then I would probably play f4 at some point after this, for example, or something else. I would play f4. I would win the pawn on e5, but it will be still not easy at all to win this position. I mean, of course, he had to play
Exactly.
to play.
You will. Such games will go in the theory books on how to triple and win the isolated pawn, but then you have to win with the passed pawn. So you would be immortalized in those books if you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you're right. The queen makes a bad impression on a5.
Yeah. Now knight d5 is coming. Basically, he doesn't have moves, and here.
I thought. Sorry, you went very fast, but I thought it was very important for you to provoke the move c7, c6. Yeah, that was very nice.
Yeah, it was very important, because knight c3 he doesn't move, because bishop c6 is bad, and bishop e6 he doesn't have, and okay, otherwise knight is coming.
Exactly. So after you provoke the move c6, it makes a very pleasing impression that you go back with the knight, and now the square d6 is weak and the structure is weakened.
Yeah, and I think I have a feeling that knight d6 was probably winning on the spot here, but or maybe he has queen c5 here, but queen c5 maybe rook d3. Yeah, because then he doesn't have this move rook e7, and next is b4, and it should be totally winning for white.
And queen is actually trapped, funnily enough, on c5.
Yeah, because somehow actually I blundered that he has rook e7, because he defended the bishop already. I mean, of course, I'm dominating completely, but he still has some moves. Yeah, and here I was considering that here I win on I think I win in nice way. Rook
d8.
Rook d8, yeah, and now he doesn't have queen e6 because of rook d6.
Oh no!
Yeah, and if queen c7, then I have very important queen e4, and he doesn't defend against rook d6.
Oh, that would be terrible.
Yeah, and also he had less than 1 minute, so it was basically impossible for him to defend it. And here queen c2 is also a nice move, because I'm straighting knight f7 check.
Right.
Yes, but actually he had a beautiful trap here, king to g8, and now it looks like I'm winning immediately, but he has queen b8 and e4.
Oh, that's really ice bucket challenge. Oh, that was terrible. Oh my goodness. E4 discovered check.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I can play c5 and queen c4, or maybe something else, or maybe I can play knight f5. It should be winning for white, of course, but it was
these little tricks.
Nice trap. Or I can also go queen f2 here probably. Yeah, so rook e7, and now queen f2 is important. Okay, I win a pawn, he cannot do anything.
Right.
Yeah, and here, okay, he played e4, which is the only
practical chance.
Yeah, but doesn't really help. And
not enough.
Here, I think c5 immediately was totally winning also, because maybe I would play rook f3 next,
and then suddenly to the 8th rank, yeah?
Yeah, and queen g3 is also good enough. I think c5 he doesn't have any moves. For example, rook d8 is also bad because of knight f5, I think. Queen g3, rook g3.
Rook g3.
And now if rook d7, then rook takes g7.
Right.
It's it's basically totally winning for white. And okay, now knight f5 is the easiest, but I believe there are many ways to win. Knight f5 is the simplest. Yeah, rook f7 is the only move. And yeah, okay, basically here anything wins. Rook e7 is totally winning for white, I think. But knight d6 is maybe the easiest. And now if he plays rook d4, Here actually it was a funny moment because my first idea was to play b5, and here
And
if
to play
rook
b6.
here b6 is winning, but the critical line was cb ab b6, and now I thought, okay, I win on a nice way, c7, but then I realized that bishop e5.
Oh, embarrassing! Oh no! Oh, then you would have to win the game all over again if possible. Yes.
Yeah, so here then I realized that
Okay.
it's much better.
Right.
Rook e7, and okay, it's completely winning. And because okay, rook before rook b7 is winning easily, and rook c, bishop c2, rook b7, bishop a4. I have rook takes g7 here. Also nice.
Nice.
Yeah. So bishop c2, a5. Yeah, if he plays rook d4, then I can, for example, go rook to e2, and then
You're keeping all your pawns.
yeah. He doesn't have a good square for the bishop because
Right.
here I can play rook e7, for example. Okay, basically there is no need for much commentary, but
Right. 2 extra pawns is basically happening now.
yeah. Okay, he tried some little chance, but a6 wins. It's totally winning.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay, so after this absolute shock, after the French defense shock, let's put it that way, you're climbing back into the tournament. How do you feel overall about your chess here in the tournament?
Well, I have a feeling that I'm playing not so bad in Vacanze,
Right.
but I'm playing very bad in Rotterdam.
Okay, I understand. That's a very, very good way of putting it. But certainly against Levon, who has been a 4-time winner and also just a very great player, a victory, I can't recall. Well, Levon loses some games, but this game he really was dominated. I mean, you really... normally speaking, he's always there with a chance. You know, he has some tactics, but this time he just stopped his play at all when he failed to make bishop takes e4. I mean,
Yeah. But I think this is really the critical moment for the game, because here, of course, he had to take on a
Absolutely. Sergey, thank you so much for joining us,
you.
and win some more games and come and join us some more.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll try.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That is Sergey Karyakin, everybody, who has just won a very nice game against Levon Aronian in great style. I'm not used to seeing Levon being dominated like that, and that was really quite a masterclass that Sergey performed today. Let me go back to the game of Magnus Carlsen, Anish Giri. They have just reached the position that I had shown before we started the interview with Sergey, and rook f5 check. Whoa, no, more moves have been played. Just a second. I think so. Let me get an update. It's a different position than on my board. Okay, we do have the pawn being promoted. King h8. This is very strange. Okay, so sorry. Magnus checked on f7. Remarkably, it's the same. I didn't want to mention it to Sergey, of course, on the air, but it's the same checkmate with the 2 rooks that Magnus had in the final tie-breaking match of the 2 rooks checkmating Sergey. There would have been, which means how remarkable it is that Magnus missed this winning checkmating idea. Again, if you compare the rook f7, rook h8 checkmates at this position, it was right out of the World Championship match game. Instead, he played bishop f7 check, also winning, I must say, because he gets to pick up the rook with check and king f6. And this is winning, obviously, 2 rooks and 2 pawns against the queen. but just not as cleanly as the previous winning line. And now you just have to make sure you don't blunder away this rook with queen e2 check. So there's still some work to do, but I think after rook h6 check and something like bishop h3, in order to protect the king, that, and there's likely other computer wins as well, but this looks to me like a very normal way for a human player to play, and it's good enough to win. Let me just see the other position. There was one game in progress as well, and that was Radic versus Baskarin. That was, Robin and I were having a lot of fun looking at this very crazy position, but we did feel when we left it at these parts that it was winning for white. And white very sensibly traded a pair of rooks, and we have this. Well, it's still a weird game, no question about that, but weirdness is one thing, winning is another. I'm thinking that queen to c3, just guarding against ideas like, I don't know, queen e3, as well as queen takes a1. And there's going to be a problem in the near future when white also gets in a g6 check with his queen on this diagonal, queen's coming to e5, when he's going to get in a g6 check. So those are the only two games remaining. Let me just review again for everybody. Dmitry Pintala was a draw. Wesley So did draw a very difficult game against Pavel. I think he slipped away. Wei won a theoretical duel in his game with Loke Van Welly. Ian and Richard made a draw, and then Sergei Karyakin was kind enough to share with us his victory over Levon. 2 games in progress. Radic versus Adiban, and Magnus versus sorry, there's a tweet. I'm sorry. Lots of big mistakes in the Masters groups today. Just a few minutes ago, Carlsen missed a very simple win. Now he has to work. Yes, I will agree with that. There was a case of double blindness, most definitely, in the case of Sergei and Levon. Not so uncommon. It's just so rare to see it at these levels. These guys seem to have 1,000 eyes and they spot all the tactics. But one major one was missed today. And let me just go to that game of Magnus. Magnus thinking over, I'm sure he's trying to figure out a way of checkmating with his 2 rooks. And he has played the move rook h6 as expected. King has to walk to e5. And I'm just thinking that the bishop was going to come to h3. So, Robin Grandmaster Robin Van Kampen, back to join us with the commentary. Hey, Robin, did you enjoy it? That was fun with Eric, yeah?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I guess this was already discussed, but I can't believe that Magnus missed a checkmate here.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's not really Magnus-like.
And the weird part is I was showing it to Sergei, and I was like holding on to my breath.
Wait a second, but what has just happened? I'm sorry to interrupt you,
Sure,
but
of course.
has another move just been played? Or?
Instead of the checkmate, he played bishop f7
so
check. That was wrong, yes?
Check. King f6.
And now we're up to date with the players.
I believe. I'm just gonna be honest here.
Please.
I know rook h6 is a big mistake. I know it from our Silicon friends, so I'm not going to take any sort of credit for this move. But supposedly the only move that wins is bishop to c4, which is horribly difficult to find.
Bishop to c4.
I know. And I'm really sorry but I had to let you know, Yasser. I can't leave you in the dark here.
Oh gosh, I was having a momentary. I didn't understand it. The funny thing is, Actually, Robin, the funny thing is I saw this move Queen E2 check. You got to give me credit, capturing the rook, right? But then I wanted to go Rook H6, King E5, Bishop H3, thinking yuck. I had gotten my rook out of.
Not really. No.
But no,
Queen D2.
Queen D2 check, and suddenly we're going to have to play rook and bishop and 2 pawns versus queen. I won it against Lajos Portish.
You did?
Yes.
But this is an absolute draw as far as I know, right? Or is it very difficult?
It was very, very difficult. I think that the drawing chances are much higher than the winning chances.
Oh, to win it, you mean, was difficult? Yeah.
I had to, but I think I had the F and G.
Oh, okay, which is probably a little bit better.
Nicer than the G and H. But, oh my goodness, because of course, way back here...
Well, this is just crazy, right? It's actually just a mate. Like, Rook C8, end of it.
Well, the problem is I was interviewing Sergey. And if you remember the last game of the tie-breaking match, it was Queen H6.
Yeah.
And so this is the exact same
mate.
So I couldn't say to Sergey, how could he not see that? That wouldn't have been nice. He wouldn't have come on the show ever again in his life. I would be his worst comment.
It seems that Magnus really needs to give away that queen to I don't want to be mean, but
focus his mind.
Yeah. But this is very sloppy, Yasser, because
terribly.
Okay, let's say you go with this, but then he had over 40 minutes on the clock and
to find bishop c4.
But to go rook h6, king e5, and then start thinking and maybe realizing something went wrong, that's very strange. And I don't understand what he could have missed here, because queen to d2 check is such a clear threat.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't move your bishop, in such a way that you somehow can cover the checks, it's very likely going to be perpetual.
Can I get the same position back for a moment? So suppose, rook h5 check, he goes king d6.
Yeah, and now we're in real trouble.
And then I have to go rook c6.
Yeah, you have to go rook c6, that's true.
No, sorry. So he can't cancel. He can't recover, so to speak. So bishop c4 was the move that wins, actually, because it's the 2 rooks against an exposed king is the real problem here for Anish. And it's not a difficult move to find when you think, you've got to stop queen e2 check, right?
I mean, you've got all the checks covered, right?
Right.
I think black has to do something like knight to d4, because queen f2 check, king h3. I mean, that's the end of it, right?
That's it.
Nothing to think about.
There's no line.
And you can't really go queen f2. I mean, maybe you can, but you need to take into account rook f7.
Exactly.
So then here you'd have to play knight e5, which looks very bad after rook h6. I don't know if it's a mate. It's a king f5, bishop d3 check, and that's all she wrote.
That's all, exactly.
Yeah.
My goodness. One of the things that really stood out in my mind, especially towards Magnus Carlsen's career, is his extraordinarily high kill rate. When he gets these winning positions, he's really good at putting guys away. We always talk in chess about the hardest thing in chess is to win a winning position.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of grandmasters fumbling around, myself included.
Anish himself is just really struggling with that too. We discussed it earlier, like in the candidates tournament.
Exactly.
Like if
putting
you
guys away that you're winning against.
Exactly. If you want to pinpoint, why is he, getting all these draws? Well, sure, it's stylistically, but a lot of it is not putting guys away.
Right. And whereas Magnus has been, just absurdly efficient.
Yeah.
I mean, really, really high, again, kill rate. Not playing rook c8 check. I mean, getting himself into the position where he's mucked it up. I mean, this is a big mess up. In the World Championship match, games 3 and 4, of course, that was also bad.
Yeah.
That was bad.
It's almost a little bit of a recent trend in his classical chess games, although, he hasn't really played that much. I mean, the match is kind of an event in itself, then of
Mhm.
course he did do very well on the Rapid and Blitz.
Yes,
Vice
impressive.
world champion more or less,
Right,
or,
right, right.
third, shared first anyway. But it is kind of peculiar because it seems to happen a lot now suddenly, especially
It's
with
crept out,
Sergey,
yeah.
and now this game. It's just not where we're used to of him. So
No, he has set such a high standard for himself. Definitely surprise here. Do we have other moves besides? Well, what other moves do we have?
I honestly think that almost every single decent option here leads to the end game we talked about with two
Mhm.
pawns, bishop and rook versus queen,
Right.
and that they may very well play for a little while.
Right. And there we have a fantastic shot, the webcam shot of Magnus Carlsen coming to this shocking awareness that he's let his prey slip away. Wow. And going back, because I didn't actually see the moment when we have left it, Robin, we understood that Anish is struggling. We gotta, and yet having said that, was this move King well, this is actually, as we know, would have
Yeah.
been losing. Would King F6?
No, King F6. I was talking about this with Eric. I thought
Oh,
this
you
was,
guys had it, great.
I thought this was a fairly easy way as well, where you just pick up the pawn,
Ah,
and that should be a done deal as well.
exactly. Without the rooks, I go knight takes g3, right? Yeah. But with the rooks, I don't think I'm going to get a chance to do that. Okay, that's simple.
Yeah. So actually, I think Magnus did it all okay because I don't think King F5. King F8 was not an option because it allows Rook F5 check and Rook F1.
Uh-huh.
So just to show the line, I mean, White can do it in various move orders, but as simple as this, really. Let's put it here, and Rook to F1.
Mhm.
Again, reaching that endgame where, of course, if you take on G3, there are some theoretically drawn position, but you're not even going to reach it most likely.
No.
Not with Rooks on.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think he did it all perfectly fine. Bishop F3 is a fantastic move.
What a resource,
And what a resource to just start
Yeah.
checkmating with these last pieces. But then, okay, Rook C8. That's already inexplicable, obviously.
Right.
But again, for me, the sloppiest part is just not taking his time here. If you see, even now he still has 34 minutes basically on the clock.
And he's taking more time over this decision
than
his previous ones. Oh.
I feel I wonder what your take on this is. When something like this happens to me and I can't find a solution, and I know it's not supposed to happen, but I can't help but start looking back and thinking, geez, where did I miss it during the game, right?
Exactly.
It like just sneaks into your mind, like you're calculating, and maybe you hit on a line where you're like, oh wow, if I had not given that check on h6, something like that, maybe this would have been possible. I can imagine that Magnus, by this moment, he kind of got to the point where he's like, oh, Bishop c4 was there, and it may have been a much better move. And if that's the case,
I talked to Victor Korchnoi about this, and I was envious of Victor. Victor had explained that in the Soviet school of chess, or how he was taught by his trainers, is never look back, never look back, never look back. Always look at the position at hand and make the best move in this position. Torture yourself after the game, right? Oh, gosh, that's really great advice. I'm really going to try to do that. Never could. I was always like kicking myself. Why did I? Oh man, I could have just played that. That would have been so simple. What an idiot I am. I can't overcome myself. So it seems Magnus is determined to find a way not to win his one game today. Had he only thought a few more minutes earlier, well, there you have it.
Looks to me like one of the Scandinavian. I'm assuming Scandinavian with Hansen as the last name. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. It's okay.
There's so many,
strong
Of course, yeah. So, but still, one of the Scandinavian, not Scandinavian,
Yes.
Yes,
and
very
then-
much Scandinavian
Right.
fans, I was going to say.
Of course, of course, and thank you, Carson, for pointing out. Yeah, okay, this has happened to me with Anatoly Karpov. It was a game in Brussels where it was sort of like he had the two bishops, and I was suffering, and he gave me a chance to slip away. And I slipped away, and it was a German and making a nice draw, but I hadn't slipped away enough. It was like one of those games, like literally he had to win it 3 times, and he did.
He did win it 3
And then
times.
he got the full point.
Yeah.
And it was sort of like I felt incredibly cheated, violated, that I didn't get any recognition for putting up these and forcing him to win it 3 times. This might be a game that Magnus, should he win it, and I say should, like with he'll have felt like he won it once, twice, third time,
Like he should
because
be.
he's really giving it the college try of blowing it.
Yeah.
Okay, what's his best shot? He's already tossed in the move rook h6,
honestly,
king e5.
I feel that we're just moving towards, let's say, bishop to h3,
Yes.
check.
Yes.
I really think that this is what we're going to see, and in one form or another,
Right.
it looks to me like he's just going to lose an exchange. And then, like you said, I mean, to be honest, I find it hard to believe that Anish would ever lose this. Just make a random move, really.
Okay. All right. So, random move. So, what's my best setup? My best setup would be bishop on f3, rook on f5, pawn on g4. Then you don't have perpetual checks.
Right.
Right.
So would you like to?
But somehow I
no,
like the
it's-
king on e5. I would like
Yeah.
the king on a1, by the way.
Sure, yeah.
So I don't feel like I want to check the king back, but I don't see how I'm going to do it other than with rook g6. I'm going to have to...
Actually, I
Or-
feel the more I look
yes.
at it, I kind of feel bad about my queen h8. Let me
Okay.
put it on h7, just so that after something like king h3, I also have a check. if I want
Right,
to.
to be as disturbing.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point in positions like this. You want to annoy your opponent as much as possible. Be that annoying pest, not letting him get his setup. Okay, let me try. Bishop f3. You can go queen d3 if you like. I was going to go king g2. You can go queen check if you like. I was going to go king h3. You can go queen d7 check if you
Oh.
like.
What is more annoying? Maybe queen d3 is more annoying.
Maybe this is because after queen d7 check, I was thinking that okay, g4.
Yeah, now I see where you're heading.
Queen d3, rook check, and I get my rook on f5.
Yeah, let's wherever I go, you go rook f5.
Right.
But even that.
Even
yes.
that
I
is
mean,
very. It's well at least.
you-
Go ahead, put it on the board just for our viewers.
totally.
So at least in this position, you can feel that my h pawn is actually
Yeah.
quite dangerous.
And also with my king cut off, which I didn't have to allow, obviously,
Mhm.
but of course this is how you get out of all the checks.
right.
And
So
then
there's
from
no
here
perpetual.
you start
I
h5.
nurse it again.
Yeah,
I nurse it all over again.
yeah.
But this
And he
is
has
a
played, by the way.
long
Road.
time. Yeah, has a long road ahead. He did lose his rook.
Yeah, he did lose his queen d2 is forced. So like we said, bishop g2. I mean, this was really just the most simple way of getting to the desired position. And I guess it also appeals to him, like you said, that, at least there's this small hope of like, hey, with the king cut off, maybe...
right, along the sixth.
Yeah, along the sixth. If you can maintain that for a certain amount of time, I'm not getting the arrow. If you can maintain this and get somehow g4, some sort of version that you just showed, it would be
That's a
it
long.
would be the best thing you can wish for, really.
Right, but what a stunning opportunity for Anish Giri to try to save where a position where he was made in the 3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Incredible.
Wow.
It reminds me a little bit of his escape in Norway chess, although that was nothing like this. He was lost in that game, and it was with some incredibly genius tactic that Magnus missed, but it was of like the magnitude of like +10 or something.
Wow.
And Magnus before that also much better. It was a Sicilian bishop e5 check, but it definitely wasn't made in 3. Like this is just I don't recall the last time I've seen something like this. I mean, and I wonder. I mean, I'm fairly sure Anish, he probably found it.
By the way, I think he did play Queen H7.
Yeah.
Which was your second suggestion after Queen H8, right?
Having been Anish's second and I've been around for many years, I guess
he rubs off on you.
Yeah, it rubs off on you. Not enough, clearly.
Not enough. Very good. Yeah. Well, today, of course, here in Vaikanse de Demorian, we were having this Chess Kids Week. There's a lot of activities, but did you see how? Well, it's the weekend. How crowded the playing hall was. I mean, I didn't even want to go in because it was like pushing against the mob.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's but that's great. I mean, the weekends in Vaikanse are always famous for all the chess fans, who have to work during the week. They come over and they really plan it ahead. And you have family trips, lots of kids. And it's a great tradition, really. And today, was another nice day. If you just look, I think there's 2 or 3 games left. You look at the amount of people standing there. It's still like you can't see the end of the hall, really.
Right.
So that should tell you a lot. And of course, with a great game like Magnus against Anish running, people are willing to stay a little bit later.
Exactly.
See how that ends.
Exactly. I remember a lot of people staying late. I think it was the game of Anish versus Wesley So. It was a queen and pawn ending game that lasted for like 120 moves. By the time we all went to the restaurant, especially the Italian, I mean, it was fully booked. Everybody ate. We all went to bed hungry. It was really sad.
I remember that game. And Wesley being very calm about it afterwards too. He said, "Okay, it happens. It's a struggle sometimes." And yet it was a queen ending, if I remember well. Yes. It turned out like it went from, 2 pawns versus 1 pawn and a queen, and then 1 pawn, and then, it went all the way until there was nothing left.
That game, by the way, Robin, was the worst game, full stop, for any chess commentator. Okay? Because essentially at one point I just stopped commentating and say, okay, I'm going to turn on the engine. And sure enough, it was like the guy would make a move and the engine would go 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Another move would be played and it would be plus 50.
Oh, right? My God.
And yet it was
queen pawn versus queen.
Well, queen and 2 versus queen and 1. And it was just one of those positions that the players are playing human moves. But unfortunately, those were the positions that the computer can analyze to the nth degree.
Exactly.
And it looked bad for the audience who was watching to see that the players keep going from a draw to a loss to a draw to a loss. It went back and forth a few times. Wesley missed an opportunity here or there, and it was just that was terrible for a commentator.
Right.
Here we have an ending of queen and king versus rook, bishop, and 2 pawns. And again, I think the potential that this game is a draw is higher than white's winning potential. Well, it all has to do with perpetual chances.
Chess players being infamous gamblers and liking a few side bets on the tournaments and whatnot. What kind of percentage would you give this? If you say it's 2 results,
right?
Let's cut out black winning. That's not going to happen.
Sure.
What amount of how often does this end in a win for white? That's really the question.
Yeah.
At this level,
I would say if these players played this game 4 times, right? I'm thinking 3 draws, 1 win.
Okay, wow.
Something like that. I mean,
that's more than I expected.
Really, honestly. You would think it? I would think the draw is 5 draws, 1 win, 6 draws, 1 win.
I was thinking 7 draws, 1 win, something like that. 1 out of 8. Yeah.
There are problems, and again, it's about the setup that you want. We looked at one with the bishop on f3, the king on h3, the pawn on g4, the rook on f5 as being the most ideal, right? The problem is, can white achieve that ending? Or okay, let's play some moves. So I'll play rook c4. Let me start here, if it's my turn.
Yeah, rook c4 is very legal.
Very legal.
Okay, well, why don't I try and bring my king to, let's say, the normal spot?
Okay, so it's funny. I don't gain anything by rook c6 check.
No,
by the way,
which feels like a very natural move.
It would. Yeah. I didn't realize.
No,
I was
because
coming from c6.
I really don't know how valuable it is for you to cut off the king over this f file.
Right.
But if I can stop
you,
it, why don't I just
why
put the
don't
king
be-
on h8? Let's
okay.
say, yeah.
All right, be your annoying self. I'll give you a check,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'll go bishop. Yes, thank you. Bishop e4. That looks like a fine move. And I will go king h3. Looks like a fine move.
Okay, let me.
And I'm closing in on the position I want. Bishop f3. The position I want is my rook on f5 and my pawn on g4. Okay.
G4.
No,
No,
g4.
yeah.
There's a check.
Exactly, and
From
that's
behind.
that's very annoying.
That's very annoying. That's not what I want. Okay, I did something wrong. Okay, go take my last move back. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so far so good. So far so good.
Rook f5. No, then queen e6.
Queen e6. Already, I'm having hard. If I'm having a hard time achieving my setup, then I'm going to have a real hard time with the game.
Because even that setup doesn't guarantee.
It doesn't guarantee a darn thing. But I'm just saying that's my best, and if I can't get it, all right, we'll go back a few moves. Okay, I liked everything we did up to this moment. Why don't I play bishop f3 instead? Okay, that's annoying. We're doing very well at the annoying factor.
Yeah, I know Annie. She's going to do that. So
G4.
Yes, very clever. But did you actually prevent the checks? Oh, we got.
We didn't have our auto.
We didn't have our. Oh, rook c4 has been played, so very good at predicting Magnus's moves. I'm gonna say king f6 is what Anish will do.
Right.
And sorry, we were just we were
trying
over
to
here.
Channel the players.
And I thought that this again allows basically too many checks.
Yes, because now my rook, the check on e1.
The trick, of course, really is that here you need to play bishop g2. That's why you'd love to have the rook on f5.
Exactly.
But now you don't get out of the checks.
Exactly.
So yeah, my plan is I get my king to g7 and I get my queen to d3 ASAP. Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay, we got to go back again. Good grief. So rook c4 was played. Your king h6. King f6 makes sense. My check made sense. How about king h3?
Okay, let me try this one out again.
Okay, so I need three moves. Rook f5, g4, bishop f3. So bishop e4, disturbing. Your queen may be asking, is your queen... Yes.
King f6 is on the board, by the way. Seems.
Well, we're doing a good job at guessing the player's moves in a rather random ending where a lot of different moves could be legitimately proposed, right?
I see Jordan Van Verrees there in the back. He's still playing as well. And if he's been following the game closely, then he might be a little surprised about what he's looking at right now.
Like, how did you get this?
Yeah.
Let's give this game a pause because we know what they're going on. Tell me a bit what happened in the challenger section. You're saying that
absolutely.
Jordan, and also we've got one other game of Adiban and
oh yes,
Rasek.
let's go there first.
We were thinking that White was winning.
What has happened over here?
White's missing a knight.
Okay, so last time we checked, this was the position, and I pretty much said queen e5. You know, time
kind of game over.
Kind of like time to shake
hands.
Shake hands. Okay, queen to b4 was played instead. Sure.
Nothing was changed. Knight came to f2.
And why did the knight not go to c3?
That is a very good question.
Knight a6.
That's a very good answer.
Yeah, that's the reason. So Adibon, tricky move, b5, actually threatening knight a6 ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So knight f2, logical. Knight
And
e6. It still looks to me like,
it's all in White's
so,
favor.
Yeah. He changed to rooks, which, all right. I mean, I probably wouldn't do that myself. But
there's even a nice move here. No, queen b3. What's wrong with queen b3?
Yeah, queen b3 would just force the rook back, I think.
Because bishop c4 will walk into rook c4. Yes, yes.
Rook takes b2. Maybe that's what he figured.
Well, I wanted to trade rooks. I'll be happy to trade rooks and bishops.
Yeah, I can't hold on to that pawn and try to pick up your c pawn. Huh?
Well, you can try.
It's worth a try.
No. I think this is too many pawns for white, right? It's actually 2 extra pawns.
One extra pawn, right?
4 or 5? What?
Yeah, 4 or 5. With this one alive, it's...
I'd already put that in my pocket. Good point. Okay, so there is...
and there is maybe some idea. Okay, like, it's all very close to winning. But then, okay, rook to a1. I honestly, I don't understand where it really went wrong. Because, okay, queen a7... Let's say the
queen to d2.
Okay.
Here he's offering the trade of bishops.
Okay, so Adibon actually, he found this queen e3, queen takes f3 maneuver.
Idea, yes.
Okay, takes. And here Radek just...
played bishop e5. Okay, so what are we missing? Okay. Why didn't he play knight h3? I'm blind.
b4.
c7, e takes f2. These moves are
so
confusing. We don't understand. Knight h. So instead of the move bishop e5, we'll just go back here. So we could have played knight h3. Go ahead and give that a shot. Our king is really close.
Is it because the knight doesn't have a nice square to go to? And the king... Okay, black just wants to walk his king down to the pawn, but I do have f4, f5, for example.
Exactly. So something like, I don't know, king g3 and or f4, f5 right away, you mean? Yes. Okay. Some confusing questions for us because we're going to come back to Magnus, but let's see what did happen.
Yeah, what did happen here?
He went bishop e5.
He gave up a piece.
Clearly, and we're confused by it. The bishop went back to a6, king came to e3.
And a few more moves. G6 was played. Probably king g8. It was
f4, f5.
King d2, king g8, king c2. I mean... I don't think White is risking anything really, but
well, is he risking his victory?
Yeah, he's risking his victory
because it seemed that he was cruising along in cruise control, so something strange in this game. Let us go. Sorry,
just for the record,
viewers,
I think it's an immediate draw if Adibon wishes. I mean, he can just take and go for the drawn opposite color bishop, ending over here. Just put all these pawns in the light squares, and I don't see Radek passing this one. So.
No, king goes to e6.
Yeah.
And,
well, I don't even need it. I just
no question.
No question. So
drawn.
I suspect a very quick draw in this game now, which honestly it's
a big
mind-boggling.
Surprise. Yes. Bring up the challengers group for a second, just so I can see what happened. Eric had talked to you about some of the results. You said Jordan Van Forest and Niels are still in progress.
Yeah.
Bring up the game of Jordan.
Yeah. So Jordan.
Because Gawain Jones is leading the with Marcus. Yes, is Marcus because Marcus went +4.
Yeah, I think by beating him, there had to head score. Sorry, he beat him and he leveled the score with him, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, they're both at +3.
Yeah, which was a very nice game by Gawain, by the way. It was yesterday. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
high class stuff. And today he is black. 1, 2, 3, 4. Against he's an exchange.
He's trying to win this position against Jordan. He's he has an exchange, knight and 2 pawns for rook. And
but
Jordan's
very importantly, with the
game.
queens on the board. For example, after a move like queen c3, black is not interested in exchanging queens, but rather he wants to play queen and knight and the pawns.
This immediately looks very unpleasant, by the way, because queen c3 is the first move that comes to mind.
Exactly.
But then you would love to play here. That doesn't really work because, knight d3 is going to lead you into a lost ending.
Precisely.
So, looks like Gawain has good chances to win this at first sight.
All right. And what were some of the other results? How did Marcus do? I'm sorry.
He recovered by beating Sopico.
Okay, I see that. In fact, that was our earliest result. Benjamin Bott.
He lost to
Ilias.
Veteran by now.
Yeah, well, it was fun. It was very strange to see all the leaders losing yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Ilya played like this horrible game with the black side. He got crushed by Karakan.
Yeah.
Yay. Karakan. Go.
Against Aryan, I think it was.
Kari, yes. Today, Benjamin, he's really been having an up and down roller coaster tournament.
But for the moment, it's more down than up. Unfortunately, I think he's he had this horrible loss against Vladimir Dobrov, where he sort of self-made it.
Oh yes, that was really a shocking one.
And Jeffrey Chang, he recovered nicely from his loss to Eric.
And by the way, even though Eric was with you, I didn't get it. Tiger Hillard was so impressed by Eric's win over Jeffrey that he chose that game as the game to annotate on the ChessBase website.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I mean, he just said, hey, this game really stood out for him. So it's always nice when you get recognition.
Sure. I love it when you play a good game and it even gets covered.
Right, and there was Jeffrey bouncing back with a win over Vladimir Dobrov, as it was mentioned. So that means essentially that for Gawain is going to need to win to still share a tie for first. Let's go back to our big contest, and again, all the Dutch. Oops, I did the wrong thing. All the Dutch audience is anxiously on pins and needles as Magnus.
He went rook g4, so he tries to cut it off from the g file, but now realizes that doesn't really make any progress, I guess.
Exactly.
Well,
I'm thinking of all the grandmasters in the world that you would not want to play this against. This ending in particular. I mean, it's just because Magnus has to be one of those because he just enjoys the grind.
Yeah, but I feel that at this point, I honestly, first of all, I don't think this is a hard position for black to defend.
You know what you have to do.
Yeah, I'm going to put my queen in around the area d3, e3, and my king will be around, on the dark squares, g7, f6, h8.
Okay.
And for the moment, I mean, looking at Magnus' move, I don't really see why Anish is even spending a single second on this because it just doesn't seem necessary.
So I've got a new idea.
Okay.
You're about to be victimized. Are you ready?
Yes. So queen to c3.
Queen to c3. I'm going to drop my rook back. It's okay. You can play any move you like.
King g7.
Okay.
Sorry.
King g7. Rook here. So what my intentions are is I want to play bishop to f3, rook to f2, and king g2. Yay! I bet, aren't you impressed?
I played queen d4, yes, sir.
No, you're supposed to say genius.
Yes, genius.
Thank you.
Okay, let's just. I'll wait.
You'll happily give me everything I want.
King g7, let's say.
Okay, and so, I've got my position, and now I'm ready to expand. I would like my rook on f5, but for the moment, I can't get it.
Okay, let's wait and c.
Okay. I will tickle you. Hakasito, my young friend.
Okay, running into the danger.
Well, I don't know if it's danger yet or not.
Okay, let's give you a check.
Okay, and this is where my genius construction comes in. Already avoiding my first winning Queen D3, Bishop E4 check. Avoiding my first
That's the trick.
My first winning attempt was adroitly avoided. Okay, so now I'm going to try to squeeze my king up the board in a funny way. I'm going to try to play rook e4, king g3, king f4.
Okay.
You know, like I'm trying to
And
squirm
ultimately,
around.
you would love to get maybe here or here without getting the checks, right?
Without getting checkmated.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Okay, so imagine I just play queen to c3.
You're no fun. You're a party pooper. And you're going to be a host for a party tonight, too, so you shouldn't practice being a party pooper. That is the most annoying, and that is really the ultimate goal of Anish, is the moment you see your opponent trying to set up something like I've just described, it's just stopping him. And I feel like I'm not going to play g4, g5 unless I've adequately there.
Yeah,
to
because
support
those,
the pawns,
you know,
right?
I will start attacking one of the pawns. I'll start checking, so that becomes that's a big commitment. To do.
Yes, so it feels like I don't see any of the setup and the rook on f5 and the pawns on g4 and.
I have one question,
Yes,
sir,
please.
because I wonder. Okay, of course, most likely Magnus is going to play this forever.
Of course.
But there's one thing that surprised me a lot this tournament, and it's going back quite a few rounds. Magnus playing as black against Dmitry Andreikin.
Okay.
Interesting middle game. It came from a Catalan with a bishop b4 check, bishop to d6 back.
Right.
He had a very good position.
And then he went knight g4, knight h6, and so on.
Exactly. He did everything great. And for the first time in a very long time, I thought Magnus accepted a draw in a very comfortable position as black. And I'm talking like between comfortably equal and a tiny bit better.
Right.
And most people seem to think it was a fairly normal thing to do, but for me, I thought it was very strange for Magnus.
Right.
Because Magnus really stands for, it doesn't matter what it is, I'm going to play it.
Right.
And so I'm not saying that now his fighting spirit is gone or something.
No.
But thinking about like how hard is he going to try to win this if he doesn't find a proper way of advancing, that's something that I'm not used to seeing of him. And I was wondering if you had some thoughts on it, or if it's not such a meaningful event.
No. Oh, well, first of all, a very meaningful event, but in terms of the game or the result. And I really, really do admire Magnus greatly for his attitude. Like, hey, we've got some spectators watching. They don't like it or they don't understand it when the two top grandmasters agree to a draw. Let's show them. Let's play king to king. And then the beginners will go, oh, I understand why they stopped now.
Yeah,
you can't checkmate the other player. So he's really had, and he's brought to chess this attitude of like, stop this early draw offer stuff. Let's show the spectators why the game is a draw and play it to its finality. And with Andre, it's like he slipped with his attitude.
Yeah, a little bit.
Dimitri, I mean to say. Yeah, that, okay, it was a draw. But yeah, I mean, he usually is that guy who says, okay, I see this three move repetition coming up, right? Well, I can avoid it by playing a bishop c4. I can avoid it by playing this and this. One thing we just talked about, that lag, that internal clock, that internal check lag clock we have. Earlier in the game, Magnus had a really good opportunity. He just played f5 and knight f7. I expected him to go g5.
Yeah, g5,
right?
of course. G5,
g4, play knight g5 and enjoy the position. I mean, white's suffering. So when Dimitri gets this opportunity to perpetually attack the bishop, he jumps at it. It's possible that that was still in Magnus's database? That like, boy, I've really spoiled it. I've let the position go. I'm annoyed with myself. Let me just get an update on the board here. We've had the. But to your point, how long is Magnus going to try? If he gets his rook to f5, if he gets his bishop to f3, if he gets his pawn to g4, he's going to try hard.
Yeah. But
if he
question
can't
is
achieve
he,
that,
yeah.
if he can't achieve that, there's simply not going to be much to play for.
Oh, King Head's Chess Club actually tweeted at us.
Yes. Congratulations again to Gawain, a 4th win on the trot.
Okay.
Sir Gawain leads the challengers. Well, we still got a game in progress.
Yeah, well, let's quickly look at how because for the moment I just see Magnus checking. He now went rook to e4. Okay, I think we can briefly leave this game and look if that game developed how we said, because we saw a quick win there for. Okay, we left off just.
And we did, and it is the 4th game on the trot. Yeah, so let's see.
So we left off here. We said queen c3 is losing.
Right.
At least queen d6, queen d5 is. And so Jordan went here.
Okay.
Yeah, now it already felt wrong with the king on g3. It already felt wrong.
Exposed.
Yeah, he probably had to do this because...
if it felt wrong on g3, it feels really wrong on g4. You're stepping into an uppercut.
Yeah.
Check.
King h4. Again, he does not want to allow that knight to d3, winning the rook.
Right.
And knight d3, yeah, now just crushing. The king is too exposed.
Wow.
Yeah, and of course it's a nice mate if you go here. Queen and knight. Always pay attention to that cooperation. It's always working for some reason. Rook to b5 but actually the same pattern.
Yeah, and also rook to c6, queen g5.
Yeah.
That's not involving the knight, but okay.
Yeah.
It's a nice pattern as well.
So unfortunately for Jordan, he hasn't had, he had a good start beating Erwin Lamy, very solid player, but he took a couple of heavy losses.
Really?
Yeah.
Am I right in thinking that Jordan hasn't drawn any game?
I don't recall him drawing a game, that's for sure.
Right.
I think if there was a draw,
every single game has been decisive.
Yeah. Well.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, his style is.
I just getting confirmed by Leonard.
No draws.
Our producer
that's
Leonard.
Great.
2 out of 7.
2 out of 7, so not at all a desirable score, -3 there. But at least he can say that he really fought for it. Only 2 wins so far, but with that style and especially with his playing strength, I mean, we've seen him dominate the Dutch championships in great style. So if he can turn it around, he can turn it around big time. That's what that means. If not, then it could be a very painful and long tournament for him.
Exactly.
But losing to Gawain, he's first of all, I've always thought he's a very good player.
Excellent.
And he seems to be in great shape this tournament. Leading. Again, together with Marcus.
Recovering from, he has had 1 loss. I believe Gawain has had 1 loss. But yes, after a little bit of a shaky start, 4 on the trot. Well,
great.
That's great. Yeah. What's your longest winning streak?
Oof, I think it is a. Well, on let's say the higher level, it must have been something like 5.
Nice. Pick advance, yeah.
I think I once won a close tournament with 4 draws, 5 wins, or something like that in a row.
I was with Anatoly Karpov on a flight, and we were seated next to each other, so we were chatting about this, and the conversation began when I was saying, Bobby Fischer won 20 games in a row.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Right? Like 20 games in a row.
How do you have the energy?
And, Anatoly Karpov kind of gasped, and he said, well, my best have been 6 in a row. And I think it was 1994 Linares. And he had just a fantastic 3,000 performance, whatever. And he won. And I said, I had twice done 7. And he said, really? And he said, who was your opponent? And I said, well, Anatoly, you were one of them. And I listed the 7 Grandmaster wins in a row, including, okay, that's a good streak.
If I'm part of it,
It was satisfying that he asked the question. Who was it?
you were baiting him.
Yeah, I was
into
baiting
a little bit.
it. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well let's drop back to. It looks like some moves have been played. First of all, what has Magnus done? He's moved his rook to the second rank. He's put the bishop on
see
e4.
how we got here. Okay, whoops. Okay, let me just turn off my auto update. I'm just gonna go. Nothing has changed essentially. Put his rook to e4. Okay. Intimating no rook g4, rook g5. Still's not getting. Okay. Remember my great idea to bring my rook to f2?
It's slowly but surely happening.
It's matriculated. Time is not a factor.
Not really.
Essentially, they start with, they get 30-second bonus for every move they make, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's,
what is more interesting?
1 hour and 40 minutes at the start. With the 30 seconds, then they get the 50 minutes, but then did they get the third?
Yes, they get a third at 60 minutes. I think it's a 15 minutes.
50 minutes for 20 moves, and then so at move 60.
It's 15 minutes.
They get 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they're going to get another. No, they've already had that, right?
No, the time is added at a move that they get at
flagged.
0, right?
Okay.
So I think there's like a virtual 15 minutes extra.
Okay, so that both players have lots and lots of time. If you look at the time now, there's another added 15 minutes to that. So really, time really doesn't play a factor, I would say.
And time is not flying.
Yeah.
I do not remember a blunder of this caliber by Magnus. You're stressing. I'm stressed as well to find something similar. Again, if you discount games 3 and 4 of the World Championship match.
Yeah, but that was not a one-move blunder.
But it was, and especially, yeah. Okay,
I mean,
I do recall.
I also recall, but it was...
Go for it. What's your recollection?
Well, my blunder is not a move. It's being flagged by Veselin Topalov in Norway chess.
That was my blunder. You stole my thunder.
Well, you asked me to go first.
Are you reading my mind?
You asked me to go first.
That was a phenomenal blunder.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that was
really
turning a win to a loss. But in terms of chess moves...
By the way, I'm
Yes,
thinking
please.
about it as well. I just wanted to say, because I think it's interesting, I believe, if we go back, rook takes c6 is the last capture. And I know we're not quite there yet, but it's still worth keeping in mind.
50 move rule,
Yeah, so move 62 by black,
At
which
50
112
moves, you better move a pawn.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
So we're now at 78, still lots of time, but if Anish makes that move number 112, I believe that's the cutoff rate.
Good to know. Have you ever saved a game thanks to the 50 move rule?
I think I've claimed it, but not saved, but I've used it in Rook Bishop versus Rook on the defensive side. Yeah.
Right, I've used it.
And there are some terrific examples of people reaching a lost position and then counting out like how much time it takes them to lose the rook
or mate.
Before getting to move 50.
Right.
And I remember one example. I don't remember the players, but there was one very high up in Aeroflot once, which almost decided the fate of the tournament winner. So that's a famous example. Yeah.
Right.
I think that's also one of the end games where it happens a lot. Like
Rook and
you
bishop,
either agree to a draw right before 50
Early.
or someone claims it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I remember, just as you described it, Grandmaster Larry Christensen against Shahovich in a Lone Pine tournament.
Oh, and it looks like the players
are getting
another
extra,
sheet of paper.
extra score sheet. It was a brutally dead drawn game, and they were closing in on move 50. And Larry carefully looked at his score sheet because he's going to make the claim that 50 moves, and then he thought, okay, I'm going to show this bastard, I'll let his king walk into my position, and then just before he makes a capture, I'll make the claim. So straight into the position just before the capture made the claim. Oh no, there was one other move. 5 moves before. There was one other pawn move, but you were counting from the wrong moment, Larry.
Oh.
He deliberately was allowing the loss in order to claim. And then the claim was
refused. Yeah.
Larry was so angry. It's amazing that Lone Pine still survives. I think he was ready to break every structure in town. He was so upset with himself. Okay, the players are now getting their extra.
This is Larry with the club, right?
Yes, big Larry Christensen.
Oh, very good one.
Thank you.
Very
Magnus
good
Carlsen Vicianon.
Yep. The famous knight takes e5.
Double blindness, yes. Talking about today's Levon-Aronian game with the double blindness game. Knight takes e5 as both players miss c4 in the game today. Yes. This was a big...
Either that or they missed knight b2 check, right? Because that was really the crux of the whole combination. Knight takes e5, rook takes g8, knight takes c4 check, king d3, knight b2 check.
Right.
Yeah, that was important.
The scorpion.
Probably, let's be fair, this is his biggest blunder ever because this was a world championship and this was really a one move. Like,
right.
This could have thrown it all away against Vichy.
Yes, in their initial match.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
And Magnus didn't have to play this move king d2. He could have done something king d1 and completely tiptoed around this possibility. Okay, I've now...
It looks like Magnus is very eager to get the rook and d to the f file, but or at least the f5. But okay, Anish now is going to play king g7.
Certainly. And again, surprise. He has played
a2. I think he's doing this because he feels that he may have had this position once before. It might not have been with the king on h8, but he certainly attacked the rook from a2 on e6 before. So perhaps that's why he goes for this.
Okay.
I think we could very easily check if we find any queen a2 move. I think over here I see queen a2 having been played. Over here, yes, sir.
Oh,
no, it was with the king on g7. So if that's his point, then this was maybe not correct. But well, actually, he's allowing rook f6 now. So there's somewhat of a significance difference.
And in principle, okay, it looks nice to put the king on h8 and everything else, but in principle, king on g7 is not bad either. It's a dark square, first of all. It's a little closer to the pawn, so it means that if you ever do get your g4 thing going, the king is ready to do some kind of a dark square blockade on a good day. We do have another game in progress. Let's see that game of Redick. You thought that the players were going to make a draw shortly. Whoa, what has gone on?
Well, it looks like Adibon was not happy with
the draw.
But
and he's right to play on.
He is right to play on.
I mean, even though this knight is dominated, this is a temporary. I mean, it's Tsuji, by the way. Tsuji on the knight, the bishop. 2 squares away from the knight, so if the knight is on, for example, e6, I put my bishop on e3 and dominate the knight.
Exactly, that's the dominant.
Yeah,
but of course, king to d7, or even putting the bishop out and then going king to d7.
I'm thinking of bishop b7 here.
Bishop b7 is a nice move.
I mean, white better start worrying.
Actually, is it? It could be lost if you don't.
Right. But I'm thinking you start worrying by playing f5, bishop takes e4, takes g6.
Well, but that could be lost because again, we're talking right color of the
A and h pawn.
Yeah, exactly. So
or the bishop and h pawn. Yeah.
If Adibon turns this into a win, then that would be an incredible
turnaround.
But I don't understand I mean, we've looked at this game and we didn't really understand what happened after move 40. So But
kinda
Radek,
shaken.
I mean, this game's gonna take a long time too, Yasser. I mean, this is not a
Exactly.
joke.
No.
This might very well last longer than Magnus.
Magnus. And let's return to Magnus. We will take a break as we start to think about how long we would like to follow this game, and we would like to keep the game following. They're already at the 80th move. We're going to take a short break, a few-minute break, and come back and we'll discuss amongst ourselves what we would like to do, because this is actually a very thrilling game, how long we would like to take.
Yeah.
And we'll be back in a few minutes. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our live coverage of the 7th round of the 2017 Tata Steel Chess Tournament here in Baikonze. I'm your host, Yasu Sero, along with Robin Van Kamp. Robin, it's been a long, tough fight.
Yeah.
We're in this match. Magnus Carlsen, Anish Giri, they're still at it. We've just seen this move, King G2. By the way, let me just move aside from you. We're up here on the balcony overlooking the game, and if you can see directly,
you can see Anish sitting there actually, and Magnus now, sitting down there.
He's literally over the shoulder. Interesting viewpoint. Oops, a massive Mr. Sarawan looking at me. That's not good. Queen F6. We've been explaining how difficult it is for White to get his ideal setup. Essentially, a long time ago, I mentioned that if I was White, the ideal setup is to have a rook on f5, a pawn on g4, king on h3, and we're good to go. Not necessarily that it's winning, but it's been very, very difficult for Magnus even to get anything remotely close to that, and Anish is playing very well to be that pesky,
Yeah,
annoying.
I think he just went queen to d8, but again, then when the rook is on e2, it's not as easy to get to f5.
Exactly. Oops,
And,
excuse me. So, there's a second. Oh, I see. I've got to turn that off first of all. So, yeah, we really are a ways away still from getting there, aren't we? I can't
honestly,
think of
Yasser,
other good setups, other winning chances setups,
I agree with you, but also the question is he actually going to move a pawn within now and, well, basically 20 moves, right?
Right, so the cutoff was 112?
I think 112 if I was counting correctly.
Very good. By the way, while we were on our off air, and by the way, our brilliant committee discussion meeting said we're going to give this another 30 minutes for sure. We're going to stay with the players because it's such a crucial game to the standings and everything else that we want to give that to you. We did have a result in the game of Adibon, and talk about the big turnaround. I said, wait a minute.
Incredible.
And there it was.
I really wasn't thinking at all about maybe White will lose this. When I was proposing Adibon to make a draw, that was clearly completely off because, maybe the position was already winning.
Right. Well, we'll just go back to this moment where very strange, we didn't get it. In this position, out of the blue came this move, bishop e5, when we were just thinking, okay, White's for choice after knight h3. Instead, oops, excuse me, sorry, after bishop e5, all of these moves, even here I was thinking White's not taking any risks.
No, and probably, I honestly think that maybe f4, f5 or something had to be played here. But he had to switch it up somehow.
It looks like a very natural decision to play f4, f5. Instead, he just went after this pawn and discovered, much to his regret, that, well...
another proposition maybe could have been to get the king to b6 instead of trying to chase that pawn, like in this position. I don't know, it's just, it's very confusing to me. No, it's actually still here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he could have tried to do this.
And now after
then
b3...
b3, then probably...
King up.
And I want to play f4, f5. I might not even... Okay, no, I do have to go king b6 because knight c7 is a threat. But instead of me guessing what was going on, we actually have Mr. Adibon himself explaining his victory against Radoslav Wojtaszek. So I'm going to leave my seat here for a second, Yasser. And
it's nice and warm. Mascara, and I'm going to keep it nice and warm for you. Welcome to the show. Wow. What a turnaround today is.
Unbelievable, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Let me just set it up for you. and you've got a cursor here, so you
Yeah.
can just go through it as well as.
Yeah, okay,
First
so...
of all, what the heck? That was a long game, right?
Yeah, it was a long game.
Tough.
Yeah, but
So
at
you
least
were-
lucky that I won. So
Right. So you were. It seemed like you were holding on, trying to
Yeah.
keep enough counterplay just to stay in the
yeah,
game.
just
stay
not
in
to
the game.
lose immediately.
Right. Exactly. And
Yeah, but okay, I was clearly winning at first. So.
oh well, good.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, so-
show us where and
And
when.
okay, of course. I really wanted to. Okay, I couldn't play French, so at least. I thought, at least.
Well, you made the offer. I mean,
Yeah, I offered to transfer to French.
Exactly.
But he decided not to. Yeah,
Okay.
okay, and this was, I thought. I told my friends, okay, you can expect something funky, so.
And you obliged
Yeah.
them with the.
So-
is it called the Owens?
Owen defense, yeah,
Owens
exactly.
defense?
So.
Tony Miles is very.
Yeah,
happy
Tony
by
Miles shot. I think many players played it. I just
Right.
wanted to get an interesting game because he's really good at all the main lines. So I just
course.
thought. I also is our saviors again.
Okay.
Rishi. So. So knight c3.
that. And
Yeah, it was funny actually.
Yeah.
Bishop b7. I could also play it, but I remember seeing b before.
Right.
Then suddenly after queen c2, I realized we are in some Nimzo Indian.
right, but you haven't committed your knight to f3
F6,
yet,
yeah. So
right?
I thought, okay, I should try to not
Exploit
transpose, not transpose to Nimzo at least.
Right.
Yeah. So here I thought f5 was very interesting because knight f6. I saw that he has played some games here, like with knight f3, I think, and short castle or d5.
Okay.
Bishop g5, and I think he played against Aronian last year or something. The previous year, I think.
So, like you say, he's very solid. In
Yeah,
such
he's very
position.
solid.
You're
Yeah,
not,
exactly.
You're
So
not
I
getting
wa-
him out of the
yeah.
comfort zone.
Yeah,
when you
exactly.
play-
So I
yeah.
thought, okay, at least I'll try to act, play active. Yeah. So, yeah, here, yeah, knight h3 was a bit surprising. I was expecting he will maybe go for a system something like this.
Right.
But anyway, I wanted to do this, so maybe he can come back here and just develop with bishop d3. But when he goes knight e2, I'll give queen h4 check. So it's not so easy, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, knight h3 is fine. A little bit surprised, but okay, it's typical, I think.
Right.
So here, yeah,
Now you really are going.
yeah,
Queen
for
H4
queen h4 check.
No.
No, just to make this knight passive, yeah. That's
Exactly.
nothing. Okay, you can also do bishop d3, I think.
Yeah.
But maybe he didn't like something like this, yeah. But okay, I was not going to go for this because
It's awkward. This
yeah, it is
G-
awkward. So
to
kind of
F3.
yeah. Rook g1 also. I can just take on f3.
Mhm.
No, but yeah, it is weird. Like something like this. I don't know what that is happening. Knight h3 is check. So I can do this, but I think just f4
Mhm.
or I don't know. It's a total mess. Yeah. Okay. This is.
But this is something White wants to avoid.
Yeah,
That's-
sure. Yeah, so I think
bishop
bishop
E2,
e2. Yeah, just little
safe,
bit. Yeah,
solid.
safe. Yeah. Yeah, sure. So yeah, I just decided to develop. Yeah, here this. I thought he has to maintain the tension, but also okay. Okay, takes was interesting, but I'll just take with the knight because if. Yeah, the thing is, yeah, sorry, d5. If I take with the pawn, there were some ideas with rook d1, which were not so clear. Or even maybe, yeah, he can play
That
rook
you
d1.
didn't like, actually.
Yeah, so I just thought knight e5, and the thing is, I can play for this e3 pawn, rook e8, and this knight h5, although not so great, it is protecting this g7. And if he wants to get rid of it, he has to play something like this. And here, yeah, I was thinking, this felt alright somehow. Like, if he goes g3, I just go queen e7, this long diagonal. I have
Yeah,
some-
he's making your bishop great.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he may have been successfully doing something himself. You've
Yeah.
also achieved something very nice as
Yeah,
well.
so here, yeah, I decided to close the position. Yeah, here I thought for a long time because it was not clear what I should do. But he wants g3 and probably long castle because short castle is never going to do because I'll just go rook f6 and rook h6, yeah.
Ready-made attack, yeah.
So I decided to just prevent this g3,
Okay.
a5. Yeah, here
Now
I
you
was.
saw g3 was coming.
Yeah, I saw, but I can't anyway prevent it. Like, okay, for example, I can do something stupid like this. Now you
then
can.
your queen's
Yeah, exactly.
right.
And also, I wanted to have some control over the c5.
But if you had gone, say, queen e7, I don't know.
Yeah, queen e7. I was considering it, but
Yeah.
then I didn't like something like I think b4. I think it was
Okay.
some a5 and
Right.
bishop d1.
Bishop D1.
So in a way, I actually wanted him to play this g4 or g3. Then because his
Okay.
king side is a little bit weak, yeah. So that was the
Okay.
whole point. So I just wanted to provoke this. But
Well,
actually,
you provoked him.
yeah,
He
actually,
obliged.
yeah, I think he could actually play bd1. No, I felt it's very nice. Just put the bishop on c2, and I cannot do this c6 stupid move because bishop is really not doing anything on e2. So I thought he can just put the bishop on c2 and then maybe queen d2 on long castle. That
Okay.
sounds like a plan. So.
Okay.
Yeah, so I played a5.
Okay.
Yeah, I went for this. Also, funny was actually could go for this also, but I just go back. Okay, queen is either very stupid or very great.
Right.
It
Right
could
now
be
it's
both.
annoying.
I know it's annoying. Yeah. Like you can do for some long plan like bishop c3, bishop e1, try to get the queen out. Maybe he could have done this. Yeah, maybe
Okay.
it's possible. But okay, he played this also very natural.
Very logical.
Yeah, queen c2 somehow I felt
No,
yeah.
here we weren't sure whether
Maybe some
what-
h4.
exactly.
Yeah, h4, bishop f1, something like this.
Right.
Or even like h4 and just put king f1, king g2, and then try to maybe do something because eventually it is going to be opened, yeah, the queen side. So that's why I wanted to be ready with c6.
Okay.
Yeah, so queen c2 was not. I was quite happy to get this. C6.
Counterplay.
Also, he said after the game that maybe dc6 was not the best because my bishop becomes active and surprisingly, my pieces are very active. His pieces are not doing so much. So maybe he said maybe he shouldn't have taken. But I'll try to annoy him with rook c8 something. But he can just probably maintain, yeah, queen d2 and something. Okay, took b4. Yeah, this looked very nice for me. I was getting, yeah, here again bishop c3 felt more natural.
Mhm.
Then he would not have got the trick which he got in the game.
Right.
Bishop b2 somehow, I don't know why he played this. I was surprised. Yeah, knight f5. Okay, I just get this knight to e6, which looks nice.
Okay.
Here, yeah, h5. Yeah, here, okay, this was interesting moment. Actually, there are a lot of nonsense like this. Actually, I can even do this, I think. Queen here, takes, some rook a2, the same plan.
It looks like your position is collapsing, but maybe you have
Yeah.
some tricks. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So bishop, here some rook e2. Somehow, no, actually no, I have to save this guy, I think. But okay,
Uh-huh.
I don't know, I'm literally giving up everything. Okay, yeah, this was, yeah, this was not so good, so I just came rook a2.
Right.
Then b5. Yeah, he is already preparing this. If he goes this, then I go something like knight d4, and the threat is bishop b5.
Right.
So that's
he
why,
wants to get
yeah,
b5
b5, yeah,
first.
exactly. So bb7, he has the same plan.
But the moment this actually happened,
Yeah.
we thought it was a disaster. Like, oh, we've overlooked, like C5.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you had actually been playing
Yeah.
for this counter cheapos with knight F3 and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So c5, yeah, here, okay, I felt I have to play this. Yeah, this position is just, I think, better for me already. Because I have this
Really?
control, yeah. And yeah, g5, maybe you should take gh5 actually. This is what I was thinking.
Mhm.
At least try to get this pawn. Because now this plan, okay, at least he has an extra pawn. And I have to do something like this, I think. And try to get the knight here. And this f3 is really shaky. But okay, he has a very
Scary.
he has a very strong pawn on c6, but it's not clear how he can untangle. Yeah, it's like a mess. Like rook a1 he cannot play because of knight b3. Rook c1 also he cannot play because of knight b3. So and bishop you cannot move. Okay, he has to do
Very
this. Then
very slowly, king
then
G2
I
and-
come something like queen h4 and knight g5. Yeah, doesn't
These look
good,
scary.
yeah. So yeah,
And,
I went here. This I was happy to see because I get this knight c7.
Blockade.
Yeah, here okay, I did something very stupid. Yeah, here okay. My original plan was to just take here. I missed that he can win the b6 pawn. So then yeah, he just stay.
D4.
Yeah, and he wins this b6 pawn, which I was not didn't want to give.
But he also solved the annoying
Annoying problem. Oh yeah, that's true.
problems that he's in.
Yeah, but okay, I think eventually I have to take this if I want to win this b5 pawn.
Okay.
Okay, here this I have to play queen e6 actually.
Okay.
And just maintain the control. Or there are also a lot of options, like I can do this and just play rook a5. I should have probably done something like this
I see.
and just take the pawn.
Right.
This looked. I thought if the rook is on a2, it's more active. So that's
Sure.
what I was trying to do, something like
To
this.
maintain, yeah.
Yeah, but somehow it was not all easy to win this pawn. Queen e6 I should play, and then threaten to play bishop a4. This could have been better, I think. I went for this. Yeah, I just totally underestimated this queen b4. That was stupid.
And is it at this point that things
No,
have turned badly
this
already?
is what I was counting on,
Mhm.
actually. And the thing is, if he takes, then this endgame is clearly better for me. But when I got here, I realized he has this very strong move, bishop c3. And it's very annoying, like, I just don't know what to do. Like, I can do this, but I think he just takes and puts this, and
Oops.
yeah. Okay, probably this is what, okay, but c7 is coming anyway.
Right.
Maybe I can do something like rook 8, rook c8, but okay, it's already not so pleasant. But okay, better than what I did. This was, knight d1, this was very strong. Suddenly I just didn't see what to do. Then it was funny. I thought, okay, at least I saw a draw. And I thought, okay, let me try, okay, at least I have a draw, so let me try for more than a draw. And so my draw was something like, actually I thought, okay, if I just stay, what, somehow, I have to give the move to him. Queen e6, yeah, exactly. So knight here.
Yes.
So queen c4, knight a2, and queen e2, it's a draw. Yeah, I just give a purple child. But what I missed was queen into c4 is a check. So I cannot do rook into b2.
Yeah, that takes b2, bishop takes c4. Yeah.
So this was the problem. This was my whole intention. Then suddenly I realized, okay, this was... Okay, then I really
That explains your king h7 move.
So
that you won't take the check.
because otherwise it looks stupid.
Right, thank you. Well, now it makes perfect sense. Okay, there's a logic.
Yeah, because I just don't see how to prevent this knight c3. Like suddenly my pawns, his king is quite safe and my king might be under trouble. And this d6 I just don't know how to defend. For example, if I rook a5, he even has an option, like he can go bishop a3 or rook d1, which is much stronger. Yeah, suddenly I just couldn't believe that, okay, it's just...
things are falling apart.
Yeah, so okay, this was like desperate. Okay, at least I thought I should try to create some thing on f3. It was really... actually, one more idea was something like... this was interesting. So bb5, knight d1, I was looking at something like bishop e2, does it work? Or you can just go knight c3.
Again, the knight c3 is another.
Yeah, knight c3 is
No, there's knight a6.
Exactly.
Right.
No, queen b6. It goes on.
Oh, right. Sorry.
No, but the problem is
There
you
was a
can
knight
even
a6
take
and
queen into
another
b6.
Mhm.
Queen to d6. And okay, but I can take this now, yeah? Okay,
Right.
this... then he has to play knight c3. So he cannot do this. This was the move maybe. There was some funny lines with bishop a4 here, queen b3 I think, or... No, not here probably. Nothing was working I think because he just has knight c3. Maybe I should do d5, but again knight c3 not so good. So I don't know, maybe I have an option, but I just don't see what to do here.
Abhidam, let me just interrupt you for a second. I just want to see if the game of Magnus, nothing's changed, unfortunately. so, oops. Now I've got to do something else. How do I get the game back that Bhaskaran was just showing me? Just click where? This one? Okay, sorry. Well, now we lose all of that wonderful analysis.
Yeah, but
I thought it would.
It's fine.
Okay, I thought it would keep it. There's this big game going on between.
Sure.
No. I just. Nothing has changed, so this is all going very well.
They will play for another moves,
for another 100 moves.
Yeah.
Sorry. So this position we left it, but now when he collapsed,
Queen d6. Yeah, I was at least hoping. Okay, last try was knight c3, queen c4. I'm hoping for a draw, but he just
with the perpetual.
Yeah, he just takes on d6, and I realized it was really difficult.
Not happiness. So here you realize things had gone seriously wrong. Now you're looking for cheapo chances with bishop f3 and queen b3 kind of thing. He played it quite accurately for a while,
queen
right?
e5. This was okay. This was Okay, also I think quite forced. Yeah, he can't do anything else because it just takes a pawn. Yeah, rook a5. I just didn't see what to do because his queen is just very good on e5.
Dominant. Yeah.
Yeah, here I was like, I wanted to play rook b5, but then I realized.
What's wrong with rook b5?
No, it's not so active compared to rook a2. So
No,
rook a2,
sure.
at least I control this situation still.
In the second rank, yeah.
Yeah. So here, yeah, maybe queen b4 was not the best, but I didn't see what else he can do.
It looks reasonable enough, and
Yeah.
he's hitting b6
Yeah,
again.
queen
and
d7. What was happening actually? Queen d7, maybe you can play. Queen d7, yeah, I just wanted to do king g8 actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Queen b3 doesn't work for a specific
No,
reason?
g7, mate. Very specific, yeah.
That is very specific. Yeah. That clears the cobwebs. Okay, yes, indeed. Queen g7 mate.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Oops.
actually, yeah. Here, this was the moment I wanted to show. Yeah, queen
Yes.
b3. This is what I was hoping to make it work. Yeah, but g6 check.
Okay.
And I cannot go king back
Clear.
because background
Mate.
mate. So he comes here and queen f4. So and I have to take and queen g3. And I have to play this and do this. But okay, this is hopeless. Yeah.
Hopeless.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this was. Okay, then I was like, okay, rook 8 I have to play. I
Even
cannot
your
go.
cheapos
Yeah,
don't work.
cheapos. Yeah, exactly. His question is so good that even the cheapos don't work.
Terrible.
So queen b4.
Right. This is where knight a6
Yeah, this
kind of
knight
comes
because
back.
b5 was the only my thing because otherwise I'm just lost. b5 suddenly knight c3 knight a6 and this
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, that was where I was thinking of a knight a6. so-
Here somehow okay I was like okay at least I'm not losing immediately so knight
was
f2
it?
and this was I think very strong because I just create okay I just improve my pieces and protect this g7 and hopefully I'm also threatening yeah for example if we go something like bishop e5 I have this queen a7 and queen e3
Right.
and suddenly I'm even
Key
taking,
resource. Yeah.
So yeah, I was hoping you'll play rook a1. I
Mhm.
think he has to do this, but okay. Also, yeah, he said this is what he just did not see what to do here, and this was the reason I think. Yeah, so if he goes, surprisingly like he's very, he has a lot of pressure, but I'm just holding because this knight e6 is really strong. Maybe he can do some knight h3, but then the spin might be annoying. Yeah, at some point maybe he has to play knight h3, maybe. Just.
I think we were looking at queen b3 ideas for him.
Yeah, queen b3. I have a nice trick, so I take bishop f3.
Oh, wow.
So okay, but this was
Ooh.
fun. I was
Yeah.
trying,
To
for
make-
example, like suddenly I realized okay, this was the point, but suddenly c7 was
C7.
coming. Yeah, takes and queen c3. Yeah.
Right.
But okay, maybe even more destructive is immediately.
Queen c3.
Yeah. So now, yeah, I was checking this rook e2. I think c7. No f3. Check the.
Desperado. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, rook a2 maybe. c7 f here, but he just takes, and I really don't have anything. Yeah.
No.
So I don't know, queen b3, but eventually I thought I found something. Don't remember exactly what it is. Some queen a7 maybe. Yeah. Okay, I don't have time. Yeah. Maybe f3, but okay, that also doesn't look so great.
Not happiness. No. But that was a shot we
Yeah,
missed.
yeah.
Bishop f3, sorry. But
Yeah,
yeah, we thought queen b3. If you could drive this, if
Yeah,
you
maybe
could
he should
force,
have gone this. Yeah, maybe I think he stopped after queen bishop of 3. Maybe.
Yeah.
But I was trying to make it work. Yeah, but maybe it's not working. Queen. Yeah, it just goes queen c3 and c7 is return c.
Right.
Yeah, and also there was this knight on the g5, but now I think he just takes, plays this.
You could have thrown in bishop f3,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah, no, it makes sense actually.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
because it changes. This is what I wanted in the game.
Okay.
That's why I took bishop of 3 first.
Right.
Maybe this is what he didn't like. Suddenly, like, okay, I got back the pawn.
Right.
And c7, I just come here. And,
Right.
Here, knight c8.
This isn't convincing.
Yeah, so
anymore.
I have a strong pawn myself. So
Right.
I already have my chance have improved drastically. So
Agreed.
yeah, but okay, still I think probably it's winning. I don't know, rook b1. I don't see how I'm rook b1. I have to play rook a4. It's Yeah, it's really not the way. Probably I could have gone for this. But okay, you want.
He played.
Yeah, rook a1 was probably not so good because then I get this nice trick. Queen a7,
Queen
e3.
e3. Yes.
Yeah, but at least I think maybe should play here, maybe Queen c3 because this. Okay, it's more or less the same. Queen c3, then I play Queen e3 again. Bishop and f3 is a threat, so he cannot really do anything. Yeah, suddenly after Queen a7, yeah, this Queen e3 is very strong. Queen d2, I thought was the best because I don't see any other move. Yeah,
Okay.
and here
No.
bishop f3, I felt I have to fight for a draw, so I thought, okay, Queen e3, maybe let's take a chance. Maybe I'll get lucky.
Right, but
Because
help me out because I'm having a blind spot. What was wrong with knight h3?
yeah, knight h3, then I start pushing this pawn. This is what I didn't like, I think.
Yeah, but I'm not a piece down.
No. Bishop e5 was fine. The continuation was the problem. You can go here now.
Right.
But still, I'm just pushing the pawns, or even I think b3, I think, yeah. So how are you stopping? Like, I'm just going to play bb5 and take the pawn.
Okay.
Suddenly it's not at all clear. Like, if you do something like this, then I have this bishop g4, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can f5 take and e2, and if you move the knight, then I have this knight and f4 check, and I queen the pawn.
Exactly.
So suddenly it was not so easy actually for him. This endgame, maybe it's not. Maybe even black is not worse anymore.
So sorry. In this moment, if he had played knight h3 immediately,
Yeah.
you would have played b4.
Yeah.
F4.
F4. This I think bishop g4. Yeah. This is what I just said. Yeah. With the same idea. So F4. I just go bg4. And the point is, here I just
You take, and he's not in the square.
Exactly. So that's why b4 is very important immediately, so that he doesn't have time for this bishop c3. Then he can protect both the pawns.
Gosh darn it! I apologize.
Yeah, no problem.
Take. King comes up here.
Yeah, but I'm a piece up, right?
Still, something similar to the game, right?
Yep.
But
You want this? Okay. But
should I play g6?
I'm trying to play it.
Well, okay. Let me just toss it in just for fun's sake. So, isn't this similar to the game?
No, this is actually much better version, maybe.
For white.
White, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
Thank goodness. I was trying to make a comparison in my mind, and I was thinking, well, this is a better version.
No, because like I have to be careful here actually.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, probably I can still make a draw. It's fine.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
just here. I'll just show this.
Right.
And now I win all the pawns. Yeah. So.
Okay. But after Queen e3, then you're out of danger.
No, but the thing is,
then.
yeah. After Queen e3, out of danger, and he has to be very precise. I think maybe he has a draw, but I really couldn't see how. Because for example, he can go here, but I just come for b4.
Okay.
Very important. And knight g3, then I have this knight f4. I was calculating this, so he goes king h2, it is important. I'll tell why. So here, then he goes here.
Bishop g4.
G4, knight f5, e2. This is why it was important not to put the king on g1 because I queen will check. But here the fun begins actually.
The fun begins. Okay.
And you can't mate me.
Because
G6, I just take knight G6. So, and I'll be the one giving mate probably.
Wow.
So
very nice variation in this guy.
Yeah, so I was really trying to see. So knight h1 probably also doesn't look so great. Knight h3 is probably the way, but after b4 I did not see how he's different.
Other than the f4, f5. But
maybe he has to play king f4. Can he do king f4, b5? Yeah, it's king f4. I just go here.
Bishop b5. Yeah. Right? Yeah, that looks very good for you now.
Yeah, and this was the thing. If he does like this, and I'm just in time. So somehow, these pawns are really dangerous. So he has to be careful. Maybe bishop e5 is also b3. This is suddenly, I just don't see what he's doing actually. Maybe he has to go for some desperate measures already, like g6, knight g5 maybe. Yeah, he cannot get near the pawn. That was the whole problem of this line. So.
Wow.
yeah, maybe.
Boy, it's so easy to slip and underestimate the dangers. Like this pawn on e3 just magically appeared. It was like, and now suddenly he didn't
this is what
orient himself to the dangers in the position.
Suddenly, this pawn you cannot. So, for example, I was calculating something like this. So, it was with, I think, king g3, King g3, bb5, c7, takes, bishop d4. So, I go, actually, even b3 I can do.
b2.
Yeah, it's kind of stuck. For example, even one sample line was this. He comes here, I go b3.
Right.
Knight, no, maybe first knight e6, And then,
tempo, nice tempo.
So, and just bishop e3 is b2, and if he comes here, I have this, maybe just b3, Wait for f4 and then come knight c5.
Embarrassing the knight on h3 further, yes? Wow.
Yeah, so somehow it's not, okay, maybe you can do this and maybe hold on, but it's already not pleasant, I can go knight c5, knight a4, okay, it's probably winning,
Exactly.
So suddenly after this endgame, okay, this was nice, okay, if I take, but I just don't take, I just ignore it. I think he just missed this, that I can take and play bishop a6, otherwise he would have played this probably.
Right.
So, suddenly I'm a piece up. I was like, I could not believe that from that position I actually came to this.
Right. And even at this exact moment, I think Robin and I were both blissfully unaware that the position had changed to the point that Black was winning.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, even here we had it in our minds that, okay, somehow the c pawn was going to be traded. And it's 4 versus 2.
No, but if the c pawn is traded, I think still I can win. For example,
Yes, please.
If I go here.
Okay.
No, sorry. Bishop c8 I don't need, I think.
Right.
But the pawn here.
Okay.
So he goes here.
Yes.
King e7. King
Yes.
b4, king d7. This was my original intention.
Oh,
because the thing is, I take the pawn, and if you push f4, then I target the e4. So if you don't push, I'll just create some sort of barrier and try to come with the king, then attack the f3 pawn. Something maybe. But okay, I would have gone for this if it works. But the problem was king a5 and bishop e2, just king b6, and I don't win this pawn. So if I take, he just goes here and knight check and king here. It's a draw.
I see.
So this is why I was forced to find this bishop c8 actually. It was good. So king c2, he has to go for this because bishop d6, I always have this knight here.
d4 check,
So this bishop c8 was very strong, I think. Suddenly I just don't give up this pawn actually, which I was planning to win the c-zone pawn, but now I just get a whole extra pawn. King b5, I can even like play something like king f7. I just don't care. Once he goes king b6, then I'll start pushing the pawn.
Right.
So he goes bishop d6, and okay, this was important. Just king f7, f4. Yeah, again, I just if you do something, if you change the mode or like king e8, then he comes king e5, and I cannot play this because c8 queen. So
yes.
I have to play b3 and bishop a3. And the point is, I can actually win this pawn, but king here. King d6 is also there. King d6 I cannot do. But king f6, this is what I do not like. Suddenly his king is very active.
Yes,
f5 is coming, so probably it's a draw already, maybe. So that's why I had to push the king back, because he cannot come here, then I take the pawn just. So here, and then, okay, I just come king d7, and suddenly his pawns are just not doing anything.
And it's winning.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What can I say? Thank you so much. And one quick question. Did somebody whisper in your ear a little birdie, or this was just inspiration? King's Gambit.
King's Gambit, No, okay, I was like, okay, I have to beat this guy somehow. And King's Gambit was the first thought. Which
was the battleground that you chose.
Yeah.
And you came really, really close.
Yeah, I was very close. It was kind of disappointing that I could not win actually yesterday.
Right.
Because I was... also he's the champion of the Grand Chess Tour, so it would be really cool to beat him.
Absolutely.
But it was pretty,
Well, thank you again for joining us and all the thrills and spirals.
Yeah, thanks.
Come again, win some more. Get back in here. All right. Well, let's now turn our attention back to the game that has kept us gripped. What an extraordinary talent is Bhaskaran. he really reminded me of the way he was speaking, the way he was just quickly going through the variations. A young Vishy Anand.
A young Vishy Anand.
Vishy would just like go boop 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 boop, and literally going really fast. Boop 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 boop. Oh no, because of boop 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 boop. No, beep boop boop. No, boop 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 boop. Boop. Yes, and that's right. And you go, oh my
what did
gosh,
they call
it's calculating.
The Lightning Kid, right?
Yes.
That's what they called him. Yeah.
Well, they called him everything, but whatever, it's working because.
Well, I mean, calculation. I mean, it's really such an important part of the game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. Nothing happened.
Absolutely nothing happened. I think it's 7
You had
moves.
a dinner, and I
had a dinner, but the problem for me is I had my dinner reserved with Anish. So
you're mutually missing,
mutually
missing the dinner. So let's just try to get a grip. Okay, Magnus is exploiting the whole 50 move rule concept. I get that.
He's also exploring a lot of different squares with his rook.
Yeah, but he's not really getting any closer to finding anything specific, any kind of a fortress, is he? And he tried, not a fortress, it's kind of like a tank, right? You want to set up a maneuver and then, move forward like that, right? But he isn't getting a tank going for himself here. Time control, still nothing
They still have
special.
those 15 minutes, so don't forget
in the
about
pocket?
that. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So, yeah, what is really... The question is he actually going to make a pawn move within now and 5 moves or 7 moves? And I guess yes, but...
Well, as we look behind us, still quite a number of diehard fans.
Oh yeah.
Skipping dinner as well in order to watch this historic showdown between the Dutch #1 player and the world champion.
Yep.
On a stage that Anish has won before. So, Rook E1. We have a tweet.
Oh.
Ivan Shaklayko blitz.
Oh, that's a nice little stalemate trick that chessnews.ru is posting. So a little bit of history about this type of position.
Well, there you go, the ending.
Yeah, it's the same ending. And, I'm already impressed that Ivanchuk even made it that far with his pawns.
The seal.
For the moment, it doesn't look like Magnus anywhere getting close to that sort of advancement. But knowing that even with the pawns on g5 and h6, this is a draw, adds a lot to the case that Anish is probably not going to lose this position. But it's still worth a try. And
I think it's 100% certainty that Magnus is going to play g3, g4, like 2 or 3 moves before the 50 move rule kicks in. And then we'll play another.
I almost feel like Anish is like trying to calculate if he can prevent any pawn movements for 7 moves, which sounds like an impossible task to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I have no idea.
Check.
Yeah, why else would you keep thinking about this position? I mean, quite frankly, you've been playing it for over 40 moves. I guess you got the hang of it more or less.
Right. But, as black, I would have put my queen on d8, my king on g7, and gone queen d8, queen f6, perpetually, quickly.
Yeah, I would play queen d8 right now. That's the most logical move.
Exactly. Something to be said for check, but okay. Do we have any other games ongoing, by the way?
Maybe there's still one game in the Challengers group. I know Nils was still playing, but that game also ended, and Nils made a draw against Aryan Tari.
I got it. Okay.
So it's truly the last game of the day. Looking behind us here, it seems that not a single amateur game is still going on either. So Magnus...
It's always fantastic to play one good game
in a row.
But sometimes it's more effective to play one good move in a row. Sergei Karyakin.
And then he's referring to his move 11c4 that would have won him a full piece.
Right.
And but nonetheless, a very good day for Sergei, who despite missing that early chance, he played a good game and managed to beat Levon Aronian, who is not the easiest opponent.
Not only that, but he beat him in a style that is very unusual for Levon. Levon doesn't really get comprehensively outplayed. He'll trip himself in some tactical melee where he did it the wrong way or something like that. You don't really see a very one-sided game. Levon beats his opponent, by the way, in the style that the Minister of Defense performed today. So very impressive game by Sergey.
You will see a video interview with Sergey.
And why don't we do that? We'll take a short video break. We'll bring you a video interview with Sergey Kiryakin.
Sergey, you've just won against Levon Aronian. It was a very nice positional game, but at the same time you've been told that you could have won much earlier because he made a mistake on move 10. What do you think about that? Why did you not see that it was a blunder f6?
Yeah, just amazing that we both missed it. But I mean, the point is that when black plays f6, it's normal reaction for white is to play d4 because the bishop on a6 is hanging, and so means it's very natural, and we were both thinking about this, and I was thinking about to play c4 after bishop f7, but then it doesn't work. So I mean it was maybe the biggest blunder. I mean the earliest blunder and the biggest in this tournament probably is.
So then the game was once again on. How did you win from that moment on, from the middle game with this isolated pawn on e5?
Yeah, actually, I'm very happy with how I played this game positionally. But I mean, of course, it was better to play c4. But still, I'm happy, and I think that the critical moment was when he played king from h7 to h8, and of course he had to take on e4 at this moment, and it's very drawish. I think the game would be a draw, and after he played king h8, rook e2, I think I'm clearly better already. I mean, of course he can defend this position, but it's much easier for me to play, and it's objectively good, I believe.
Last but not least, you have tweeted a picture of your son making his first steps on the chessboard. How does that feel?
Well, it's great. He is only 1 year and 3 months, but he is already trying to make some moves.
Will he be better than his father?
I hope so.
Thank you for the interview.
I hope you enjoyed that video clip with Sergey Kiryakin, your host Yasser, along with Robin. Robin, we're having a little fun between ourselves. Like, we're 7 moves away from the 50-move draw claim being made, and we're just thinking, could Magnus, for whatever cruel reasons, play g3, g4,
or h4, h5, and then make another 50, and then g3, g4.
I mean, okay, I wouldn't describe that as like playing with your prey or something like that, but there's something extremely cruel. Like, okay, from Anisha's point of view, of course, he's stuck at the board. There's nothing he can do about it, but is there enough chance for Magnus to justify putting another 3 hours of work in?
I mean, honestly, they do have a game tomorrow, and Magnus to me doesn't look like it's like a guy who's thinking that he's about to win this game anytime soon. But still, it's Magnus. I do expect him to at least try g4 in one way or another.
Yeah, to the last full measure, right?
And then things will keep rolling. So
I could have sworn an hour ago I said, "Hey, I have a new idea. I'm going to put my king on g2, my rook on
f1,
my rook on I mean, Magnus has swung around to this one last attempt at achieving the rook f5 and pawn on g4 setup.
But what Anish is doing is annoying again. He played queen d2.
Okay, that's a check.
So I think
rook f.
No, he played king h3 and now queen d3. I guess should be played, or I mean, I think it will be played.
Right. Okay.
So that means move 107. That means 5 more. But of course, Magnus could go bishop g2, rook f3, g4. and that's inevitably going to lead to g4.
Well, excellent. Well, let's do it. Bishop g2. I'm
Yeah,
so
so-
happy. I'm so very, very happy.
Are you? Are
I'm
you actually?
very, very happy. You will finally achieve.
Okay, wherever and
Yes. So great. Okay, and you can go queen d2, queen b2.
Yeah.
So I will play rook f5.
Uh-huh.
Yay. And dun. Well, I'm here. I gotta go h5. Nothing to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Bishop f3.
Yeah, and now my checks start, right?
Yes. Now your checks start. No, I can't crawl anywhere. Your king's very good on g7.
No, you need
by the
to
way.
put this bishop g2
Okay,
rook
I'll
f3 structure.
crawl it back. Yeah.
So let's say this.
Okay.
Okay, maybe then g5. Let me prevent it.
No.
No, yeah, I prevent it actually.
Yes, because queen takes
Queen
g5,
takes g5.
rook g3.
By the
queen
way,
takes g3 draw.
Yeah, a very smart Twitter follower. He was commenting a lot on your rook f5 setup, and he was also noting that if the king's on g6, I can take on f5 some positions. But yeah, not if you play the h5. It's no longer
right.
But yeah, queen d2. Let's say I'm preventing g5.
Mm-hmm. Show it to our audience for a second.
g5 takes or g3. Sounds like bad news, but unfortunately for Magnus, this is still a draw. It's one of those few chess positions where you have a huge material advantage, but unfortunately this bishop needs to be of a dark square color so you can actually get the king out of this corner.
Mm-hmm.
So
that position, by the way, after this was the moment in my chess career. I was about I'm going to say 13, 14. I'd been playing chess for a year, and I thought, okay, this is why chess is a draw.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you can achieve as white a position with an extra bishop and an extra pawn, and it's still a draw, then it's got to be worth the first move.
Yeah. I feel that
it can't be worth the first move.
Yeah, it's kind of like in draws where you have, I don't even know, the 3 kings versus the 1 king, which is supposedly a draw, I think. So you need 4, which makes the drawing margin even bigger in draws.
Exactly.
But yeah, this is like the ultimate, like, why would chess be a draw? Then probably because of this position, because this is the biggest material, and the 2 knights, of course. The 2 knights versus the king. That's the very biggest material
deficit that you can afford and still make.
But then again, much more rare, I would say. So Magnus, okay, as expected, we've got g4 on the board.
And he did that 4 moves before
Anish
Giri could call the arbiter and say, "Please, Mr. Arbiter, stop the torture.
Stop this already." Yeah.
All right, and after how did he get in g4? By the way, he got it in as a result of the check. Okay, fair enough.
Okay, Anish plays queen d3
to be the annoying,
and king g2 has been played.
Right. Here, there's something to be said for queen d2 check and queen f4.
That's exactly what he's playing, actually. Queen d2 check. I was personally thinking about queen d8 as well, but maybe that doesn't have a threat because that actually would lose the queen in the wrong way. So
right, queen d8 that would be embarrassing. Okay, so queen d2 check, rook f2, and I was thinking queen f4, and it's sort of like that freezes white completely, doesn't it?
It does seem to completely,
immobilize. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if I see that, then I really feel, thank you. Boy, sorry, getting a little tired, but thank you, because otherwise I was thinking, my gosh, there's no way to
get out of this.
Yeah.
But still, let's make a waiting move, let's say.
Okay, so rook e4, just hoping that on a good day, king g3, yeah.
Check.
Ride your horse into the golden...
It does feel like such a draw, though, Yasser. You can go here.
Okay.
I'll go back to d3.
Well, now I get my rook f4. No, I don't. There's queen f1.
Yeah, so
I have to do that.
Very easy to get back into the initial position,
with the queen back on f4.
Exactly.
No,
so we actually have this position on the board with rook f2.
I feel like I'm going in circles.
Yeah, we are going in circles. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Okay. Well, queen f4 just feels like a great move for black.
Right. Yeah, just right in the thick of the
white
the
position.
action. Yeah. And not
Yeah, sir, I don't-
not to say that there aren't many moves, but you're
Queen E1 has been played instead, which, by the way, is very similar when it comes to ideas, because this
Freezing.
actually freezes the position properly,
right.
unless you want to commit to H5.
And I don't.
Yeah.
I feel that, there, by the way, I get scared that I could actually be worse. Like the king comes
Yeah,
to G5, it comes to H4, and I
mean,
get mated.
Yeah, because if you allow this, then
yes.
that would be bad. But maybe,
G5.
but you don't really want to do that, do you? I mean,
No.
you're never risking anything. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But this doesn't feel like it feels like you went too fast over here.
Right, and
So-
that you wanted to escort the pawns gently.
Yeah.
A full police escort.
Yeah.
Here I would play rook F1, by the way.
Yes. Good move. Learning from our previous statements.
Right,
yeah.
right. Okay, you'll play Queen D2. I'll play Rook F2, and I was just testing.
Yeah.
I wanted to make
Because
sure
this
you
is-
wouldn't,
yeah.
you weren't touching my H4 pawn.
Yeah.
If the intention of Queen E1 was to take on H4, give the guy a chance.
Yeah, give him a shot. Yeah.
Yeah, give him a. Yeah, right. Okay. Well. Now, of course, this is huge for our tournament standings. Magnus entered the round a half a point behind Wesley. Wesley so drew today, remaining his +3 score. Magnus missed a checkmate. Let's just boldly point out the obvious. With a win, Magnus would have brought himself up to +3.
Yeah.
And somewhere in his mind, Magnus is thinking about the opportunity lost by not winning today.
Yeah.
And that's probably...
And he's actually gone for H5.
H5. Whoa.
So I really
a very
feel
strange way of doing it, I must say. H5.
King G7 just feels too logical not to play.
Right. Well, that's why I always thought the king belonged on G7,
Yeah.
just for such an opportunity of stepping it up and making a great blockade.
Yeah, and even, then you can really start thinking about it.
Yeah. Definitely so. Well, here I will probably try rook E2.
Mm-hmm.
Something like queen C1, yeah. King G3, you're going to check me from behind?
Yeah, I am.
Or check me on...
Check on C7, I think.
C7?
Yeah.
Okay, can we just
Oh, wait,
see
but
that?
then you
Then I
do
go
Queen
to
H4.
H4, right?
So if you
King
go
G3,
here...
yes.
Why don't I play this move?
Good one. That's a really
Yeah, so
good
my
move.
idea is obviously if you go here, I'm
Right.
checking and going back.
Right.
And I would love to... it's a good question. I'm not sure what I want to do next move, but I also don't know what White's move is.
Right.
Of course, I would like to get this without being checked. That's my
Right.
main
Worry your goal.
Yeah. But let's say one way could be to check, play Queen F4, and then check you again, something like that.
Right. So if I do some pass move like Rook E4, it's not really... I'm not impressing anybody, am I?
Now I might check you from behind.
Yep.
And then Bishop to G2. You still have it covered. So maybe something a little more... Actually, it's not a bad move, yeah, sir. Rook F4 is your...
Well, it was an accident, of course.
Yeah.
This Queen C7 check.
Yeah, Queen C7 check. It's annoying.
That's the one. Now King H4.
Oops. Self-mating.
Yeah, the ice bucket challenge. And Rook F4, also King G5.
Yeah,
and
obviously.
King, yes. How many ways can we find for Magnus to lose?
Yeah.
But then after King H3, the nice part is, yes, King G5. and
This
then
is about as good as it gets, right?
for
Now you're
Anish.
starting to think like,
Yeah,
maybe I will play for a win.
There are 3 results are possible instead of just 2. So back to reality. The
This has
move
been
Rook
played.
E2 has just
This
been
is
played.
what we had on the board. Queen
Right.
C1 is what we expect.
Right.
Queen
And-
A5 has been played instead. it's not that different, to be fair.
Mhm.
As long as it controls g5, and actually a better move, Yasser, to be
Yes.
fair, because Anish is running
Dreaming.
towards g5
Yes.
very quickly. And
Dreaming,
I
yeah.
think Magnus is not stopping him from that anymore, because he'll run through f6, not allowing any sort of check, if it matters. No, this was really... If Magnus wanted to have any sort of serious attempt, he should have been able to somehow keep the pawn on h4,
Right.
and this is really either
The only chance.
it follows up immediately after h5, but preferably before you play g5. H5, g5 is there
Agreed.
first. This dark square blockade is not going to be removed anymore. So king f6, king g5, and I suspect draw agreed very soon after that.
Right.
I really think at this point, and I think you can sort of tell that Magnus, he's... I think he's almost thinking like, okay, how am I just making the draw now? Because because it's not fun anymore. Maybe rook to e6 is what he... But rook to e6, queen a2 check is an
That's
immediate draw.
making a draw.
Yeah,
Yes.
so this would be actually a logical move repetition, by the way.
Exactly.
But no, this is
Because
not the pretty way
this-
for white.
It starts to feel like if you ever allow the king to h4,
Yeah.
whoops, we have a tweet. Vikram writes, looks like Carlson and some orange juice here.
He needs some orange juice.
He needs
some more orange juice. I think he
He's
just
got the
he just had some
water, the
Coca-Cola, I think.
The
so-
Isklar
yeah.
water is his one of the sponsors.
Yeah.
I think they were also a sponsor in both Norway Chess and the World Championship.
Right.
Yeah, I actually like their water. It tasted good.
Yeah, so here we see Magnus. Yeah, not even for Magnus Carlsen, this task is sort of done now. It's I'm
Well-
surprised how many moves he took before playing the pawn up, though. It just I don't
Oh.
really understand what his frame
Goal.
of mind was, or maybe it was just frustration, and he realized that he had this huge opportunity, which, like we said, sometimes it just hits you
Right.
right after it happened, and that's such a horrible moment.
Right.
And maybe he just needed this to cool down a little bit. But
Mhm.
he's definitely not putting Magnus-like effort in right now, trying to win this game. So
Rook e4, it looks like.
yeah, so I
Well, that
suspect,
doesn't stop.
I suspect the following line, yes, sir. I
Yes,
think
I know where you're going there. Yeah.
I'm going again to a theme that we've seen so much today, by the way. Every single time, I think in Adiban's game, in who was it? In this game, we already several times discussed it. Also, much earlier when the rooks were still on, and
Wow. By the way, just to know, it was like one of those things where you get to go bishop e4 check, king
Yeah.
f6.
this would be
h6, king f7, bishop h7, right?
yes.
One of these
But-
terrible things where
but
you
even-
wonder.
Here, you need to be here, right?
Right.
Yeah. So even this is.
Ah,
But of course, the sane
king g5.
minds are
and
going
yes,
to play this.
yes,
Yeah.
the same. By the way, rook f4 check,
Has been
king.
played.
G5 is on
Yeah.
the board.
And we get the following position.
Wow.
And
For
Anish takes it off,
whip snarled here.
and she
Takes.
takes, king
King
takes.
takes.
And the question is, are they going to play till stalemate?
No, I think this was a reward. They've rewarded us for our tenacity, our loyalty to our
Yep.
viewers.
Yes, sir. You do realize that Magnus could make like virtually another 150, 200 moves before deciding on the draw.
King G3. And you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I'm
Okay.
while watching a blitz game where they try to flag
Yeah.
one another from, of course, I mean, this is the good point.
Mhm.
I've never purposely tried to stalemate my opponent when we're at such a point. Obviously, Magnus will play.
Well,
and
he will
stalemate the opponent. I never saw the
I think
meaning in that.
honestly, I think it's just it's basically saying, listen, I was
I'm
this
the world
close to
champion.
beating you,
Right.
and just I'm going to show the people how much material I was on. I was up And he's actually making like he's not even playing the most straightforward move here, but G6.
And that was it.
G6, and now okay.
Oh, and there you gotta saw the flip off. Okay.
Oh.
First of all, you can hear the applause behind us.
Yeah.
Ani's Gary, a gritty, determined. When he given the opportunity to make a draw, he really seized it.
Yeah.
But my goodness, what a blunder. What a blunder. Magnus Carlsen overlooking a relatively straightforward checkmating idea. I joked on an earlier segment that it was the same checkmate he used to beat.
To retain his world championship.
To his, and it was right here that he could have put a very, it's almost, I want to say it's almost a tactical test. What's the best move?
Mm-hmm.
Bishop f7 check looks like it's winning, but this is actually the best move. Check.
Oh.
Oops, it didn't close. Yeah. Check. And it has nice echoes of the checkmating pattern that he used.
It looks so much alike.
Sergey.
Yeah, it really does.
And there's that checkmate, and that would have just clinched the game, brought Magnus to +3. Everybody would have said, "Holy cow! The defending champion is in great form. Everything." And now he's clouded the event.
Yeah.
Wow.
This must be, if he doesn't already know that he missed this is going to be an extra cold shower for him.
Right.
Once he gets out and one of his friends or family members tells him this, it's going to be like...
And they're drawing straws.
He already had all this... Yeah, they're drawing straws right now.
Not me. Come on,
Henrik,
you're
of
the
course,
father.
he had all this time to cool off, and maybe he found a more complicated way, I don't know. But if someone's going to go up to him now and explain to him, listen, Rook C8 was made in 3, he's going to be absolutely fuming. And
with himself, of course.
Yes, of course.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you all for staying with us this long. It's been a long day, but an enjoyable day. Thank you, Robin. Robin, are you going to join me tomorrow?
I'm joining you tomorrow, so I'll still be there.
Outstanding. So the two of us will be showing you round 8 tomorrow. Wesley So continues to lead the 2017 Tata Steel chess tournament, and can he maintain the lead? Well, find out tomorrow. And join us.
Thank you.
Thank you, and good night, everyone.